Yo, welcome to the stream today. Hello. How's it going, everybody? Welcome, everyone. My name is SenseiSuplex, and today we have Valley of Dreams episode 14 coming at each and every single one of you. It's going to be an awesome session as we're going to have the likes of JB or AKA Jade making a little bit of a guest appearance for the time being, but they're going to bounce out, obviously, as they won't be able to be there the entire time. Again, they're just a guest star. But I hope everybody's having a great time tonight, and hope they're ready for an awesome session of D&D. It's gonna be a very, very interesting one. Probably a lot of RP, most likely. But I mean, hey, shenanigans can happen at any point in time. Y'all already know. That being said, hold up. Okay, I was just making sure to see if my my camera was if it was like delayed or anything like that. It's been doing that recently. I've been trying to mess with it to see if I can fix it a little bit, but I mean, I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I can. But all right, let's get into everything. We're gonna switch on over. Oh my god, I'm just looking at face cams. I don't know if they're dying laughing or if they're all good. All right, I think they're all good. All right. Yeah, I think they're good. Okay, let's see what's happening in the Auroraverse. Hold up.
We're gonna need you to come over here for a week.
Hot mic.
Hot mic.
It was like a lukewarm mic.
I got you. I've been
Was
saying
it
what
hotter
everybody.
before?
It's been hotter, yeah.
It's definitely been hotter.
Definitely been hotter.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Terrible.
Oof.
Terrible.
Oh man.
Oh god. That being said, hey yo, everybody good to go? Everybody Foundry loaded in and all that good stuff?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Anybody got any questions before we start the session, or we're good to get started with everything?
Where's the loot?
The loot.
Give me the loot.
Shit,
Give
the
me
loot.
the loot.
The loot.
Yeah.
You lived. That's the loot.
You live. Respect.
I'm over here pulling a Zaman. We're running their campaign. Hey, yo, you live, dog.
You don't want to pull it. You gotta give me flashbacks.
You got non-flashbacks, apparently. Jesus.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
you're a little low,
low,
but I can definitely hear you.
Yeah. Say something again.
Yo.
Yeah, you are way low. Hold on, I can turn it up. I think. One more time.
Yo, you're.
Nah, you're at 200%, and you sounding like Animus and Secrets in the Sands right now.
Probably just gotta move your mic a little closer.
Yeah, that'll probably be it.
How about this? Better?
Nah, same thing.
Not even a slight.
Yeah, I got you turned up to like 180.
I'm just waiting for the eventual moment where they come in loud as fuck.
Hopefully this is better.
Nah, we can mess with it during the session. It's not a big deal. All right. That being said, I would like each and every single one of you sit down and get ready to play some D&D. Everyone, gather around the table and let me tell you all a Voden fable. To gather around for the tale of these survivors, the tale of the looming corruption and a jaded destiny. For this be the infamous tale of the Valley of Dreams and the legendary tale of the Soulbound. Previously, our heroes were found at war. The likes of the corruption would infest its way into the Valley of Dreams. The valleys of dragons, mysteries, and more. Our heroes would be faced with an armada of the corruption, and however, they'd be led by an astral, alien-like creature and a mind flayer atop of a jellyfish. Formidable foes that seek to end our survivors. However, a stray arcane bolt would strike into them, and they'd be met by the likes of an old Kalashtar warrior in Jade. With that, the tide was turned, and with the structures collapsing, arcane spells were slung and cast. Our heroes would use all their power to finish in a single cosmic clash of fire and ice. The likes of Azura and Agni would begin to unleash their respective elements onto their foes with one final roll made. Our heroes would be successful, and no longer would the corruption attack nameless souls. If they wanted to kill someone and consume the likes of their allies, they'd have to take on the Voden Knights to do so. Survivors, listen now. The war has concluded on all fronts, and you all are victorious. And with an old friend, it's time to catch up. But what exactly is in store for the future? Well, we'll have to see and hope that things go well, as it is session 13 of Valley of Dreams. And with that being said, oh goodness, let's see what's gonna happen today. All I can say is these session 13s across Soulbound, they haven't been looking nice. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh god, things have been going from bad to worse with it, but we can hope for the best. All right, we're gonna switch on over and send you guys to the current map. It's been a little bit updated with the recent destructions and more, but we'll get into that in just a second. Also, let me give you guys a little bit of ambience as well, and we're gonna play well, we'll play this thing for now. So actually, I want to. Yeah, we'll do that one for later. We'll just play this normal one as usual. So, as we return back to where we left off, we find the likes of our heroes as they deal the final blows. You watch as the corruption begins to vanish from the lands, as with one final strike, one flash ignition, one final freeze, all the individuals begin to slowly drop and shatter into millions of tiny astral pieces and dust. They begin to flow with the likes of the wind, as you see slowly, it's definitely a process, but it's a slow one. The bits of the corruption that took over the likes of the forest and wildlife, it's slowly fading and dissipating from you all. You look over and you see as the tower begins to slowly crash down below, leaving a destructive sort of force in sight. And you see as the force begins to catch fire. You all stand with your outpost destroyed, walls shattered, but you all are victorious. That being said, what would you all like to say? And more importantly, what would you all like to do?
Real quick, Sensei.
Yep.
Azora's supposed to be at 28 health. I don't know why she's down to 8.
Probably from the clash. It probably didn't. I never changed it back.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. You should be good though.
Okay. Second thing is, she would want to rush down to the southern part where the fire is. Part of like her moves, when you draw this weapon, you can extinguish non-magical flames within 30 feet of you. She wants to try to do that in order to extinguish those flames to the south, like near Addy Dark.
Yeah, so you can just move your character over there. Now, granted, it's going to take a bit of time as these flames are rapidly spreading onto multiple portions of the forest. Addy Dark, at this point, you kind of have to back up, as before, you were going to start taking fire damage and almost starting to begin choking and more from the likes of the smoke. You back up and you see as you almost nearly run into the likes of Azura. The adrenaline coming down, but Azura, you begin to take the likes of the sword and begin to try to extinguish the flames in this southern quadrant. What about the rest of you? What are you all doing as this fire begins to spread towards the west?
Agni would be doing the same, and he would ask Philo for his help as he would go over and do what he can to try to essentially use control flames to sort of grab fire and kind of pull it all into like this middle campfire. So it'd be a small amount, but he would be doing what he could.
And being said, it's not a matter of whether you can, it's just how much time you necessarily have. Between the likes of Philo and you, Agni, you're using control flame, or you're using control flames, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, control flames in between the likes of Philo. You'll see as he begins to tap his staff onto the ground, and bits of this sort of wildlife will begin to slowly grow the likes of mushrooms upon them. The flames begin to almost burn out, and for a brief moment in time, and they're replaced with this sort of noxious gas for a brief moment. Before Philo makes sure that he's able to control and not, poison you all to death, but he's able to help with preventing any more of the fire as before. That being said, while you two are busy with that, we look towards the likes of Jade, Zaman, Korra, and Gore, as well as Addydark. What are you, all five, doing as the battle begins to come to a conclusion?
Cora would try to help Azora.
Alright. So this thing, nah, dang. Your mic is still low, but I'm able to hear you though. Alright, so Korra, you are essentially helping out the likes of Azora, making sure to get, or using a bit of clerical abilities and magic, as well as any way you can to sort of help put out the fire in a brief moment in time. Alright, what about the rest of you then?
Zaman would approach Jade and say, Jade, sorry, Jade, long time no see. Where have you been?
Yeah, it has been a while. But I've been on a hunt for the corruption. Been hanging out with.
There you go. Yeah, I was waiting for that one.
Painful.
Now,
There we go.
I can give, now typically I wouldn't, but I can give, I think it's realistic, I can give JB a pass for the first one. After the second one, I can't give it another pass. So
What happened?
don't worry. So, don't worry
Choose your
about it.
words carefully, sir. Choose your words carefully.
Look at my arm, bro.
So
What arm?
the good news is
Exactly.
you're gonna be fine. But Jade and JB, I speak to you. Essentially, things have changed, or definitely changed in Voden since the last, since you, were pretty much with the gang in Sands of Sin, and you were in the Forbidden Expanse. Your character would kind of know this, or as I mentioned before in our DMs and all this stuff. Granted, you did say it, so you're gonna have to pay the consequences, but I'll give you at least advantage with this one. But essentially, whenever you say the likes of the corruption, if you remember long ago, and Sands of Sin, as it was explained by Osta, they pretty much mentioned it's a very, very terrible thing to even mention the corruption. The more you mention it, at first what it seemed to be is if you just mention it, nothing really happens, but the more and more it happens, you're basically just being a beacon for the corruption to attack your position, right? It seems to be that has gotten even worse with now, ever since the corruption attacked and everything and consumed the lands, even just mentioning it once can cause you to nearly suffer cosmic death. So, that being said, anytime someone has to say the word, or anytime someone says the word corruption, they have to make the highest saving throw they possibly have. So Jade, double click on your token. Your highest saving throw is intelligence as a wizard. So you're going to click the intelligence thing or the name, you're gonna hit saving throw, and you're gonna do that with advantage.
And what is the advantage? What is the advantage again?
It's going to, I think when you click it that way, it's gonna ask you whether you have advantage or not. It should.
It didn't.
It didn't? Alright, just do it again then.
All right, let's see.
Not good, not good. So Jade, you will take a bit of, or you are going to take a bit of astral damage. So Jade, in this moment in time, I won't make you lose any memories or anything like that, but keep in mind for the future. Typically I wouldn't give anybody that sort of leeway, but because obviously you haven't been here for a while, it's all right.
That must not be named from now on.
Typically that's what they'll refer to it as a different name, like yeah, whatever you really want. I've heard the likes of astral ones, the starry ones, Jeff. That's a big one.
Jeff,
you
Jeff
know,
is my
like
personal favorite.
I like Jeff.
Whatever you want to call it,
Jeff
bro.
is my personal favorite.
Okay.
All right. So that said, you do see as Jade begins to, or as they say the word, they begin to slowly course with an astral light for a brief moment in time. Zaman, you look over towards their hand and you see as they do not have a mark upon it any longer, though. It seems to be that it is no longer there.
Hey, that is weird. Didn't you have one of these upon your hand before?
Yeah. Believe so.
Now, Jade, as you would look towards the likes of Zaman, you would notice, yeah, if I remember right, yeah. You would see as Zaman apparently has a different mark upon the palm of his hand for some strange reason, compared to what he originally had. Instead, you now see a sort of red triangle on his palm, the one that Agni originally had and then was transferred to the likes of Korra. But definitely strange. Seems to be that they've maybe been busy, maybe trying to swap them, but who knows? I said, what do you all, or what do you two say and do?
I'm wondering what happened, why the mark is different now.
Get it all out?
Yeah, and I ask, why is the mark different now?
Zaman would say, well, when we awoke from the slumber, all of our marks had changed, and even people who didn't have marks had marks. So I cannot explain. Maybe somebody did something to us while we were sleeping.
And I stand there and I'm looking perplexed, like, the fuck?
Definitely strange happenings in voting, for sure. You'll see as a couple or you'll see over off to the side, kind of passing you, Gore. You'll see as Hannibal will begin to flick any bits of more of the astral light off of his blade onto the ground, and then sheath it before kind of approaching this individual and Jade. Before again patting you in information of Gore that who were victorious, who were successful, before then focusing and looking towards this new individual, eyeing them up and down. Jade, what you see is a samurai of the sorts. However, they seem to have a sort of lion-like sort of structure and body. They stand on their hind legs in two, and they seem to have multiple sort of swords at their side. Ishtaran in design, being that this from the civilization that you originally were a part of, but they seem to carry themselves with purpose and confidence. As you see this individual approaching you. As they do so, you'll see as they begin to say, "You fight with courage and honor. Your assistance was appreciated with this battle. Zaman, Gore, you seem friendly with this individual. I assume this was the one, then, according to their voice."
Yes, observant one. I've told you. You truly have a good eye for things. This is the blessed one. His sword was left with Gore, and Gore kind of throws the long sword that he had once had, that Jade had before they disappeared, and tossed it back at Jade. Phoenix has blessed you. You're back with us. What have you done?
Yes. Glad to be back, and nice to meet you, Samurai Hannibal. Yeah, nice to meet you. Great fighting with you as well. So yes, I've been, searching for Jeff. And been wanting to whip Jeff's ass for a while, obviously, and I've been kind of hanging out with the keeper, going in and out.
Who's Jeff? Is this a new enemy of ours?
Well, it's the it's what's taken over the entire civilization.
Yeah. Things we were just fighting. Understood.
Exactly. Yes.
So, to understand this, you call, and he'll point off to pretty much the astrolite, the rest of the corruption, and say, you call this Jeff. Is that correct?
Yes, Jeff, and some people call it Fedge, but I just call it Jeff.
He's gonna make an insight check to see if you're lying to him. Jade, make a persuasion check or a deception check whether you're actually telling the truth. If you're actually telling the truth, persuasion. If you're lying to this man's face, deception. 8, 10. He will look at you up and down and just be like, "My, have times changed since I've been gone." And he'll just begin to sit down by the likes of the campfire, placing his sword at his side. Oh man. But also, Jade, you do receive a D4 of inspiration from the likes of chat. So there you go. For the Fedge Seeker.
Thank you.
You see, the blessed one crushed the Fedge or the Jeff, just like he crushed that Oni. You should have seen him go, observant one.
Did you say feta?
No, that's a cheese.
Oh yeah, okay. Understood.
You must be tired from the battle, greedy one.
I just said feta, Jeff. I don't know. It's a lot of names for these things now.
Do things even get stuck in? And Gore kind of like flies around your head right quick. Ears? Do you even have any anymore?
I can hear, so I must have something of the like.
Then clean it out, greedy one.
I won't have my ears for long if you keep screaming.
Agreed.
Keep it down for him, greedy one. Don't yell so loud.
He is referring to you, Gar.
Gore would just look at you confused.
Hannibal just gives you a deadpan stare.
Gore would just stare back, just, huh? Like totally and utterly unaware of any implication you're making right now.
That being said, while that's happening, off to the side, Addy Dark, what are you doing over here? There you go.
I am having some technical difficulties with the
Found your thingy, it's acting up again.
Yeah, it's definitely acting up. I'm by Zero is like calming down the flames.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's what's up. Where is everybody else at?
Maybe having a glitch where you can't see anybody. I can copy and paste everybody though. Yeah, I got you.
Sorry to be that again.
Nah, don't worry about it. I'm gonna copy that. We're gonna move everybody back to where they were. Boom. All right, dope. I should be able to see mostly everybody and all that stuff. But pretty much, Addy Dark, what is happening at this point? Korra and Azor, they were pretty much getting rid of the flames. Same thing with Philo and Agni. They're coming to the point where it's almost done. If you want to assist them to help speed up the process, you can. But within that time,
I'd love to assist. I mean, can I like try to breathe in the fire? You know.
Kind of breathing in the fire using the likes of your sort of tribal markings and more while you're in this sort of fire stance of the elemental barbarian. Yeah, between the likes of all of you, you see as Addy Dark eventually is able to almost harness the likes of the flames like before when you did so in your dream. You see as they begin to writhe amongst your arms and then almost be consumed by them. But eventually, you all are finished. The forest is, for the most part, tame. It's said. Anybody else wanting to do anything? Now that is complete.
Zora will. Hold on one moment. Zora will, seeing that Korra just, rushed up behind her, she'll say, as like I said, as she's going to try to extinguish as many flames as she can, she'll say to Addie Dark and Cora, you two, is there any abilities you might have that could assist in this? We can't let our home burn down. These places helped us defend ourselves. Now it's time we return the favor for nature.
Well, keep in mind, Azora, they pretty much were already helping, assisting you pretty much without questions and more. At this point, the fires have been already extinguished out now, as they were pretty much helping and assisting you with you using the sword in the way of the water and all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good. But what do you all want to do after now the fire has been extinguished?
At this point, so then now that it's like actually extinguished and whatnot, Azora wants to gather everybody in the middle. So all the flames are extinguished now, right?
Yes.
She will say, everybody, come closer. I'm pretty much calling everybody to come, to the middle. I guess around the fire. I guess. Good, please.
Easy enough. We'll see as your allies, wounded for the most part, begin to slowly join. You'll see as Mao actually kind of can't. He's still in the trance. You guys will probably have to, help him out here because he still has the helmet on right now.
She'll look at Trog or Gore, like, the one of you two, bring Mal. He no longer has to control the machines.
Gore would snatch him up, but Gore would still carry him back over.
All right, so that's what you're trying to do. Zaman, what were you trying to do?
Am I able to remove the helmet from Mao?
Yeah, you can do that.
Like I did before.
Yeah, so it's kind of an effort between both of you. So Zaman, you're the one who's able to take the likes of the helmet off of Mao. As you begin to remove it, you see as he begins to slowly regain consciousness, and for a brief moment, you just see as he just mutters gibberish for a moment. His brain seems to be fried for the moment in time, but he sort of shakes himself for a brief moment and did we win? Ugh.
We did well, little sleepy one.
Yes. A great deal thanks to your efforts, Mal.
Good. And you see as Gorya sort of drop him off to the side. He doesn't necessarily faceplant, but he pretty much faceplants, and he starts kind of sleeping, not really sleeping.
At least this one knows how to rest.
That said,
Azora says, this victory, this was something that I'm glad we could all experience together. And she looks over at Jade specifically. I'm sure many of us have many questions for you, Jade. And I'm sure you've come from quite a travel, quite a ways to get to us. But I'm glad to see you here in these final moments. All of you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, Jay was just gonna say, it's an honor to fight alongside you all again.
Yes, it is an honor to see your martial powers. You seem to have grown quite a bit since the last time we saw each other. Trog, and she turns down at Trog, from on top of the jellyfish, I saw you rescue Mao. It was something you did not have to do, and she goes to place her hand on his shoulder and she says, even though we just met you, that is enough to certify yourself as one of our companions.
That being
go ahead.
You'll see as he begins to look over and nod and then just say, just some, like Agni said, doing my part.
And Gore pats him on the back. Ha! You protected the little ones. You did the right thing.
Easy. He begins to sort of crack a smile.
Well, as this war has come to a close seemingly, I believe now is the time we should take a moment to rest and heal our wounds and continue to get assist Hannibal to get Philo back home.
Jade, will you join us in this journey?
Yes, I will.
Now that's when we get to that part.
Right.
Jade, you know for a fact you can't.
Right.
As you know, as you can kind of remember with your DMs and all that stuff, you got to go with the Keeper soon. As you've been or pretty much dealing with the likes of him left and right, and all that. You can explain that to the party if you want, but yeah, you only have a couple of moments, probably like a couple of hours to pretty much rest, tend to your wounds, and then head back to the Plane of Dreams.
Yeah. So I would love to go, but I have other duties to tend to. I've been kind of going in and out of the Plane of Dreams with the Keeper, you know, and fighting that which must not be named, or Jeff. Yeah, and there's been a lot more, but we can have those conversations later if you like.
And Gore puts his arm on his shoulder and he's like, "You have to explain less to me, Blessed One. Phoenix has truly gave you a blessing. Keep doing what you're doing in this fight." And Gore again pats him on the back.
Before we make any more moves, I'd also like to join Azora, say a few words about that fight. We all fought bravely, each in our own way, in the face of death. We stared at the enemy right in the face and proved we weren't to be taken lightly. Each and every one of us, an important role to play. Executed perfectly. No casualties. I couldn't ask for something greater for this day. Azura, your sword skills on full display this fight. It seems like our teamwork when working together is almost unmatched. I believe the phrase, iron sharpens iron, holds true. Zaman, even though the vines didn't fully catch that jellyfish, I personally couldn't see a single enemy come from the north. It's safe to say your spell probably killed more than any of us. An impressive display of skill. Cora, I hope you keep your eyes up, as your strength and guiding light allowed myself to strike the creature for damage I thought was near impossible. Your guide would be proud of what you accomplished today. There's not a doubt in my mind. Addie, you kept our flanks covered. Probably took the most amount of punishment than any of us, all for the betterment of the group. A sacrifice doesn't go unnoticed. Your scars are proof you are a true warrior. Gore, being small does have its benefits. Never forget that, as the enemy underestimated your ability to crush. Not only was your ability to crush felt, but it was heard. So much so that the enemy had to focus you down. Take pride that you were considered such a threat on the battlefield, and rose to fight another day. And Jade, my memory of you is back. Your timing was impeccable. It seems like the days of us playing chess have paid off, as your fire burned as hot as the intensity of the fight. You struck right where the enemy couldn't defend. A perfect display of skill. All of you guys, I'm quite proud of what we accomplished today. But we shouldn't rest, as the enemy vastly underestimated us. The next attack, they probably won't. I think you had a piece of paper, Hannibal, with our last wishes. I think it would be a perfect tradition to burn it right here and now, as none of us are dead, and we will continue to live on.
Well said. We'll see as he begins to slowly rise up and begin to gather forth and try to go under or where the tent originally was before it was destroyed. Begin to slowly dig up the likes of or using his claws, kind of digging up the likes of where the note was. Eventually you see, as he begins to dust himself off, it brings the likes of the note towards Agni for them to do the honors. But before we do that, new Agni art done by Total Art Freak if you haven't seen it already. There you go.
I was about to say, where am I going?
Yeah, you just get transported to the astral sea again, like Rhyme.
While he holds the paper, Agni sort of continues a little bit. Mao, even though you weren't physically in the fight, a special someone would be proud of you. You're fighting to see her again. Your inventions were astronomical in the defeat of the enemy. Trog, as Azora mentioned, you put your body on the line. Something that is noble. Not many would do what you did. The blood of dragons truly flows through you. Philo, a thankless job being someone who supports the troops on a battlefield. Your healing and support kept us alive, granted us a victory. It is often said that people who support others are the strongest there is. Hannibal, you accepted your role. You listened, even though you wanted to be in the front line. You helped to cover our flank, killing all in front of your blade. And your blade is a testament to the amount that you've killed. I also owe you an answer from before. You asked, do I believe in honor? Personally, honor is something for the dead. I want to win by any means, and I have no plans on dying just yet. Is there anything anyone would like to say before we burn this piece of paper?
Go ahead.
Ah, big one. You speak well. There's a reason why you lead us. Gore knows how to follow. And as long as his blade is in his hand, he'll crush for you. Just remember our deals.
Now that I'm remembering, Gore, there is something we need to discuss, but it can wait.
Azora just says, as she listens to your speech, and she gave you a look of approval. As Hannibal holds the paper over the flame, she says,
it would be Agni holding it right now.
As you hold the paper, wherever you're holding it, she says, may our memories live on and our faces never fade.
Agni looks around to see if there any other words before he lets his paper fall into the fire.
Anything from any other players? Anything at all? We'll just see.
We fight like this against night creatures as well. Jeff or Jose or whatever you call him is no threat to me.
I simply refer to it as the enemy. It's an enemy, and that's all it is to me.
The Jeff is quite the opposition. I like to call it an op.
I can't.
I prefer to call them the shadow ones.
You can't call it the ops.
Yeah, that's the term of endearment right there.
Alright, anyways. Oh man, is there anything else any other players want to say? All right.
With that,
Oh, hold
wait,
on.
someone say something?
Well, Zaman, were you saying something?
Yeah, Zaman will say, let's once we become settled and look further, we should reflect back on that battle and see if we have learned anything to better prepare us for next time. As Agni has stated, they will come back much stronger. So we must analyze them to procure any potential weaknesses they may have.
You are correct. I heard that voice when it was striking the likes of the squid-faced creature. They said that the first battle began. There most definitely will be more. And with that, our weapons guide us as we go in strength to take them down with the likes of their others.
Let's make sure we collect any supplies we can. And then, and he looks over at Zora. Rest. The little sleepy one already has the right idea.
Yeah, Mal's knocked out, bro. Like, Agni, as you were kind of talking to him in the speech, like, he was sleeping. He was snoring a little bit.
That's fine. The message still got across.
Yeah.
Yes, we should rest, salvage this. He would look back at Philo. We probably need to take Philo where he needs to go. I do not believe this place is suitable for a base of operations, but maybe Philo's village or where he's from will be able to give us a jump start, as we're going to need a lot more than just this next time. And as he says that, he's going to let go of the piece of paper.
As it begins to do so, you watch as the paper hits the likes of the flames and begins to slowly burn and burn. All of it until nothing seems to remain after a bit of time. After several seconds, Hannibal will respond to what you said, Agni. I begin to sing. Philo's home, a ways from now. I do have a cave of the sorts. My home, even. Solitary, but well defensible. This is on the way there, but can skip past it to make haste to Philo's home. The choice remains to you all. Regardless, we end up in Philo's home anyways.
If it's on the way, we can stop by. But first, we should tend to our wounds, just in case another attack happens.
Being said, if that is the case, for the sake of brevity, because I know, JB, you do got a time limit and all that stuff, correct?
Yep.
If there's any more conversations you need to have with Jade, now is probably the time to do so, before they are taken with by the likes of the Keeper. So any questions you gotta ask them, now is the time.
Gore would just go to him and be like, Blessed One, I know Phoenix has a plan for you. Gore won't ask what it is, but I know our paths will cross again. And he gives him back the long sword that he had dropped since he got this other short sword.
So Jade, as you begin to get past this long sword, it is a katana in that sense, but you see, as you haven't really seen this thing for a while, but it seems to be the same katana that you found before entering the likes of those ruins and the Forbidden Expanse. Off to the side where you would find the likes of dynamite, other bits of mining materials, but also a sword staked into the ground. You would notice as it still has a sort of Ishtaran symbol and design in nature, representing that of destiny. Clothis specifically. You'd see as Goris seemed to have kept it, waiting to give it to you when you returned.
Azor would say, so Jade, it is goodbye for now then. Can you at least say where you're going or where you've been? I understand this world is filled with secrets and consequences for those secrets, but if there's anything you can let us know so that we know you're safe, it would be most helpful.
Oh, definitely. Yes, I've been traveling with the Keeper in and out of the Plane of Dreams, destroying the ops. And
yes, sir.
And I've mainly been in Jaded Dragon Valley. I have seen the Forbidden Expanse, and I've seen Azor Taiga.
Taiga.
Figure?
God damn it.
So I don't know if you all have heard of the Zhao Dynasty, but I ran into a few people claiming to be part of the dynasty, and they were extremely dangerous. They ended up nearly killing me, but I was lucky. I had to use some of the quick thinking and strategy that I gained from fighting the Oni. It's the only way I survived.
You'll
I don't
see,
know. Go ahead.
You'll see, as even the slightest mention of the Zhao dynasty, that Hannibal will begin to raise an eyebrow, and Trog's eyes will begin to light up for a brief moment in time. And then they definitely do recognize that name for sure. You can easily enough tell, Jade. You can continue.
Okay. So I don't know what you all know about how massive the destruction has been, but most of civilization is completely wiped out. At least where I've been, I haven't explored much beyond the main middle valley of the Jaded Dragon Valley. But there are tons of abandoned buildings, tons of ruins. They used to be teeming with life and civilization, but now it's abandoned in the home of the ops. So that's pretty much it. It's good to be back.
I'll never get used to that. I'll tell you that now.
I guess that's what we're calling it now.
You gotta say it with the ops.
You gotta say it with some gusto.
What's up for the
It's the only way to say it.
Zaman would reply, Jade, you are the third person that has had an issue with this so-called Zhao dynasty. Maybe we need to deal with them sooner rather than later.
Yep, I would definitely say be on the lookout. They are armed and dangerous.
You'll see as Trog, this red lizard folk, will begin to walk and speak up and say, I've also ran into the dynasty before. Like you, I barely escaped with my life. He'll look towards Agni and kind of like saying, like, I told you these guys are kind of bad business, and then say, these individuals, calculated, cunning, and very deadly. And it will begin to say, over here, Agni, you've mentioned that you leave honors for the dead. You fight with any means necessary to deal with your foes. The Dynasty, the way they fight, they do the same. Whether you agreeing with that philosophy is a good or a bad thing, only time will have to tell.
For now, it sounds like they're an enemy of mine. But we'll see how much our paths cross. If it comes to it, they'll be wiped out.
So,
Jade, before you go, would you mind having a word with me, away from everyone?
Sure, definitely.
all right.
I guess before this private conversation, Jade, is it, or Jade?
Yes.
Night creatures. How many have you slain?
Many, my friend.
Ah, an ally you truly are.
Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all up on me.
Zamawa mentioned, if we would need to get into contact with you, do we have a way? Or if
Definitely.
you need to get in contact with us?
Jade, you at this point, you as a wizard have been nearly having a breakthrough in your study of the arcane. Now, though you've been more so studying for different types of magic, typically relying on evocation, or aka magic that has destructive properties, so, you know, fire magic, explosions, and all that stuff to deal with the likes of the corruption, you have heard of a spell capable of contacting people from long distance that you are right on the cusp of being able to discover if you so wanted to. That spell would be known as sending. Now, sending basically means you can pretty much send out messages to people across very, very long distances and have them be able to reply. To have not necessarily a conversation, but a very, very small miniature conversation. So like, imagine sending a fantasy text over to somebody and then them being able to send one reply.
Yep. Definitely. I definitely want to unleash that one. Do I need to say abracadabra?
I mean, if you really wanted to, but you can't do it now. You can't do it now. I know. Hey, man. I've heard worse for how wizards cast spells. That's it. If there's no other conversation need to be had, Agni and Jade, you guys just begin to head off to the likes of just pretty much any secluded area, wherever you kind of wish. You guys can move your tokens wherever you need.
Philo, if you don't mind, please come with me for a second.
Very well. See, as this giant, massive mushroom individual begins to start lumbering over to wherever you begin to walk.
Philo, with my recent memories, I'd like to introduce you to Jade. Jade, this is Philo. If you notice, Jade, the necklace on Philo should ring a bell to you. He is a follower of the goddess Karametra. I've recently regained some of my memories, and I've forgotten her. I thought you two should meet, and I have a favor to ask of you, Jade.
Ah, well, friend of these individuals is a friend of Philo. And you'll see as he will begin to slowly extend out a massive hand towards you, Jade.
And I extend mine out to him.
Easy enough. That said, as you begin to shake, you'll see as, you carry a book. You do not cast spells with nature. How exactly do you cast your magic? Is it only through the book? Or is it through other means?
Well, some through the book and some other means.
Secretive as always, but it is normal for mages to do so, to have their secrets. That being said, it is nice to meet another one of Karametra's sprouts or worshippers, whichever you would like to call them. Do you know she is not the most, how you say, popular of gods and pantheons and stuff like that. But, from what I can tell, if I keep running into more followers, she'll probably be taking over the likes of Karanos. And you see as he just begins to chuckle to himself. Now, you all would be pretty much aware that Karanos is, hold on, I actually may get that wrong. Karanos is at least one of the top 5 most powerful gods across all of Aurora in the entire universe at the moment. Karametra being, she's not one of the weakest, but she definitely was recently down there in the dumps. But there is slowly being a resurgence of Karametra followers as she begins to become more and more prevalent. Jade, if you want, you can make a religion check. You too, Agni, but you kind of out of character already know this anyways. 7. So Karametra, long story short, she is the god of harvest, but she's also responsible for giving life to a lot of animalistic races in general. I can't tell you the whole story with a 7, but basically her and Karanos pretty much decided to give life to the likes of oh gosh, I gotta name a couple of them. Bear folk, like so basically pandas, brown bears, and more, pretty much giving them actual sentience to be capable of actually fighting and learning magic and spells and pretty much living day-to-day lives. The same thing is also with Hanu, which is Sun Wukong monkey folk, and more. The likes of, and you name it. Even the likes, I believe, of lizard folk, similar to Trog, all the way over here, off to the side, and many, many, many more animalistic races. If it wasn't for really her blessing, they wouldn't exist to this day.
Yes. Karametra may not be the strongest at the moment, but she is always strong in my heart. Her blessings.
I seem to have forgotten her, but she has not seemed to have forgotten me. Jade, the next time you go to pray and you speak with her, please let her know I didn't mean it. And let's just leave it at that, as I know you're short on time.
You have my word.
Again, I appreciate your assistance in this fight, old friend. I hope in the future our paths cross again.
Likewise.
Being said. All right. One thing, Gore, you've received a D10 inspiration die from the likes of Orgoth from Tales of Siglasia. You can make sure to write that down. From one Oni to another. All right. Also, that being said, does anybody have anything else they would like to talk with Jade on to? Now is your last chance. All right. If that's the case, then so be it. You guys will all begin to look over. Anybody with a passive perception of 15 or higher, you would begin to see as there is one strange individual that seems to be watching from afar in the likes of the forest. You would see a man sort of dressed in black, a large sort of top hat on his side, and he seems to have a sort of plague doctor's mask as well. Almost like a beak-like face. You see as he's massive, but he begins to wait patiently in the likes of the forest, waiting for Jade to be done conversing with his previous allies before joining him on his next adventure. Eventually, Jade, you begin to look over and notice that individual waiting for you. So, if you got any final goodbyes, you can say them now, or you can continue heading with the likes of him.
Hey, keep kicking ass and taking names. I'll see you next time.
Crush on, blessed one. Crush on.
That being said, Jade begins to... Oh, go ahead.
She says, "Don't let the op set you back."
Never!
As said, Jade begins to walk through, having to sort of get through the likes of the destroyed walls and into the likes of the bushes before making their way to the likes of the Keeper. At this point, Jade, this is a normal sight to you, but you do see as the Keeper begins to sort of knock on a nearby tree off to the side. And as this happens, you see as a door begins to slowly carve itself in the wood and begin to slowly open for you to enter inside. Now, when you look inside, it's not necessarily a tree, but instead a small tavern, a small plain for dreams, adventures, and more. You see as the Keeper begins to motion you inside. Do you do so?
Yep.
And with that, you see one final glimpse, or everyone, you guys see one final glimpse of Jade before their journey takes them elsewhere. You look and see as Gore, if you were to be noticing, you would see as specifically that the Keeper would begin to eye you for a brief moment in time and begin to tip his hat. And then make a perception check.
It's gonna be interesting to see how this goes.
12. You adding anything to it?
I think I still got that D4. I'm gonna just roll that.
Go for it.
It goes.
113. So, total of 13 would be.
The record, that was a 1.
Yeah. So 12 plus 1 would be 13. So, Gore, with that, you wouldn't be able to see much, but you would see amongst the Keeper, you would see a small necklace beginning to slowly form amongst them. And as it does, you see the necklaces of a holy symbol of Phonax. Before he begins to kind of duck his head and then get ready to enter and shut the door.
Gore would kind of zip over there.
Make a dexterity check to see how fast you are.
Yeah, I'll take that risk. Ability check, right?
That is a 10 plus 3, 13. You add anything else to it?
Unfortunately, I think that's all I got. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Saving it for another day. You'll see as you begin to zip over towards him, however, the keeper is too fast. It begins to shut the door closed, and by the time you even arrive there, you see nothing but a small sort of symbol on the wall, or not on the wall, but on the tree. A symbol and a bit of writing below. The symbol itself seems to be a mask of the source, or of the sorts winged even. And you see below, it just says crush, and that's it.
Gore's eyes would light up, and he would be like, yes, and he would try to cut that piece of symbol out of the tree.
Is enough. I mean, you have a sword and whatnot. I mean, it takes you a little bit of time, but you're able to get it done.
And Gore would just whisper himself, Gore's truly blessed. I will kill that god soon enough for you, Phoenix. You will not be disappointed in Gore. And Gore would kind of look at the little piece of wood, kind of extra excited himself and kind of glowy-eyed when he came back.
That's it. While that's happening, I do want to give a special shout out for JB for being able to join each and every single one of us to play as Jade again. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank y'all for having me, man. It was great. Excellent.
And I'll talk to you later.
All right, peace.
All right, let me see if as soon as they leave, the overlay should be good. Yeah, overlay should be good when they bounce out. All right, so while that's happening, Jor begins to return to the likes of the crew. Is anybody else doing anything before you guys rest, or are you all taking your long rest now?
I will not be resting.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, well, the problem is I just fully healed. Like, there's no way in life I would ever do that. Like,
you're not exhausted or anything like that. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you are like completely like ready to go. Like you just woke up from the greatest of naps.
Yeah, no one's asking any questions while I'm full of energy. No one's asking.
That's it. All right.
Azora is down here in this water, and she is dipping the palm, the one with the mark, into the water. Like at this point, she's trying anything. You know, after Hannibal warned her about this mark, she's just trying anything to activate it to see what would do it. And she actually wants to mix like a mana crystal with the water near her mark. Like she's just trying anything at this point.
Okay. One moment, let me think for a second. All right, mixing a mana crystal with the mark. What are you trying to do? Like, what exactly are you doing with it? Are you just like throwing the mana crystal in the water, or what?
Yeah, so since she doesn't understand, she doesn't understand, you know, how the marks activate or anything. She's wondering if it has a tie to her. You know, she thinks to herself, well, you know, Zaman is nosy, so perhaps his mark allows them to get information from people. Like she's coming up with reasons why marks work the way they work. Agni as a war chief, his mark clearly allows him some type of tactical strategy with the corruption and everything. So she's thinking, well, maybe because she has like these ice abilities and, you know, this water ice stuff, perhaps that's how she could activate hers. So she's just dipping her palm in the water, and then like if like nothing happens, then she's gonna take like a mana crystal to put it like towards the palm to see if anything begins to happen, any vibrations, anything.
All right, that being said, as you begin to do so, make a perception check with sight, Azora. 20. You look over towards the water and you see as there's still like a bit of residue of the corruption left. It seems to be seeping forth into the ground or into the soil itself. As it's beginning to happen, you look over and you begin to almost put the likes of the mana crystal, but also the palm of your hand, the purple square, kind of around and towards it, making sure not to touch it unless you wanted to. But as this is sort of happening, you do begin to see as it begins to sort of pulse for a brief moment and glow.
Okay. She's thinking to herself, maybe she's found something. So she takes note of that, and she like, as it's glowing and pulsing, she's like waiting around the water. Like she doesn't know how to activate it, of course, so she's just trying literally anything. And she's gonna like sit there and kind of close her eyes and just think about the mark. Like she's just gonna sit there and really focus on it. And that's pretty much it.
Everyone check their DMs. If you see nothing, then that's fine. Now you can just go back to your business.
Yikes.
Oh, what the fuck? Fucking found you just destroyed it so for a second. That being said, as this is sort of occurring, is that what you do? Or is that all you do, or are you waiting for something else?
Yeah, like I said, she's just gonna close her eyes and just focus on it. And if the pulsing goes away, it is what it is. If it gets intense, it is what it is. She's just closing her eyes and focusing on it, trying to, like I said, find some way to do something with it.
Roll a d20, Azora.
Just flat d20.
Flat d20. Interesting. Azora, you begin to just try to meditate and calm yourself for a brief moment in time. And as this begins to happen, you wait and wait, just seeing if any possible reaction can occur with the likes of this mark before your vision begins to almost get hazy in the likes of your mind. You begin to see as it slowly starts to tear and almost break for a brief moment, as if you can witness bits of your memory slowly being almost taken from you in real time. As you begin to open your eyes and look forth, you see as the likes of your or the palm of your hand begins to slowly start glowing more and more and more. And which hand is sort of grasping the likes of the mana crystal?
The palm, the mark is on her right hand, right?
Yes.
So then, yeah, the left hand.
All right. So that being said, you see as it begins to slowly start surging with power, and you watch as more and more of this astral light begins to start coursing amongst your hand. You saying nothing, not sort of even mentioning the likes of the corruption at all, but it begins to almost slowly take over your entire body and arm for a brief moment in time before you hear this enter your head. One moment. Run. And as that happens, you begin to, or you almost begin to lose control of your entire body for a brief moment in time. Or almost your arm begins to flex for a brief moment, and as it does, it crushes the crystal. Roll a D100 for me. Oh boy. Uh-oh. That's maybe not good. Uh-oh. It's not a 7, so I know it can't be that. Oh shit! Wait, what the? Son of a bitch. Okay. Here's what happens, Azora. You see as you begin to almost as you begin to lose control of the crystal, you crack the likes of it and it begins to explode out. You watch as your hand begins to almost surge with this, or begin coated with the likes of this glitter as it drops down to the ground. But you look around for a brief moment in time, and you begin to see more and more. Your oculi sight beginning to almost shine for a brief moment as your eye begins to turn from this almost bluish sort of icy sort of film to more of a one with blue, greens, and purples and more. Oh gosh. I was hoping this wouldn't happen so soon. All right, let's see how bad this can get. Azora, I need you to check your DMs.
One day you'll listen to Gore and just take a nap. One day you'll listen to Gore and just take a nap.
All right, you may do with what you wish with that for a moment in time, but the arm but the hand is still sort of coursing with the astral light, and you also see as the palm upon your hand is also glowing purple. Your eye itself has turned completely astral for a moment, but only the or actually, no, it'd actually be both of them in this case. Or for Azora, for the oculi thing, is it only one eye that's affected or both?
Yeah, it's just her left eye that has the oculi sight.
That being said, that's the one that is coursing. All right, what would you like to say and what would you like to do? Also, Agni, you get a D4 of inspiration from chat.
She will look down at her palm, at her arm, and then look up at the sky as well.
You look up towards the sky and you do see as the Aurora Borealis, it's still there, but for the most part, all of its power is completely faded. It still surges. And where exactly are you headed for a minute?
She was gonna climb up this hill and now look at everybody individually.
All right. Keep in mind, it's only to 10 feet.
Yeah, that's why she was gonna move close to look at everybody individually.
I mean, right now where you stand, nothing. Everything seems to be fine.
Oh yeah. I was walking there. I stopped because when you asked where was I going, so I just stopped. I didn't know if something was gonna happen.
You're good. You're good.
She specifically low-key wants to look at Gore.
Gore. Okay, you got to get a little bit closer if you want to do that one. And I thought you were moving that way. Okay. Azora, about at this point right here. All right, let's see this. Zaman, how many characters do you have?
Does my new one count? I think 2.
Technically, no.
All right, so just one then.
Just one? Okay, good to know. Does Mal have any? No. Trog? No. This fucker. And this. Well, yep, you and okay. Alright. One moment. Azora, as you begin to step over here, getting ready to try to look towards Gore, you look towards Hannibal as he's sitting there for a brief moment in time, and you begin to see something strange, or a strange phenomenon begin to happen. You see as several figures begin to slowly form behind the likes of Hannibal. Make a perception check with sight for me to try to peer past it. There seems to be their forms itself are more astral illusions of the sorts. They're coated with an astral light. You're unsure or unable to sort of see exactly what they are and who they are. This is 16. You adding anything to the roll or keeping it where it is?
I think I'll add that D6 I have.
All right, let's see what you got. That is unfortunate.
I hate to see it.
Right under the DC. But
you hate to see it.
You see behind this individual, not many, but you see the likes of a larger sort of Leonin beside them, giving off an unearthly divine presence behind the likes of Hannibal. A secondary individual seems to be a Goliath of massive size, unable to make up any sort of more than just pretty much their racial genetic structure, but behind them seems to finally be the likes of a dragonborn individual wielding a bow of the sorts, but that's pretty much it. That says the other two behind the Goliath and the Dragonborn don't seem to give off any presence, but the sort of Leonin-like individual behind Hannibal, they give off an unearthly, godly presence. Eventually, you begin, well, unless you stop and say anything, or do you continue towards Gore?
When she looked at herself, did she see anything?
Like through the water?
Sure, like when she looked down at her.
You would have saw a figure behind you. And then you would have turned around and no one would have been there. But you looked into the reflection and there would have been someone there every time.
Okay, so so he's gonna move closer to look at Gore.
As this begins to happen,
in Agni,
you look over towards Agni, and then we'll go to Gore. But you look towards Agni and you see as there is a massive individual kind of behind them. Make a perception check with sight. (14). They seem to just be massive. They almost seem to be like a bear-like creature for some strange reason, standing or towering over them. But regardless, you look towards Gore and you see kind of behind him, sort of cross-legged, sitting down, a massive individual of the sorts. No roll needed for this one. And they seem to be wielding a weapon of the sorts. One very, very similar to Korra's, in fact. They seem to have these jagged horns and more bits of scars of the sorts. And you see a comparable sight. Well, actually, no. Does Azora have her memories or no? With the Oni fight.
Yeah, she still has the Oni fight memory.
You see a very, very comparable individual to that Oni sitting behind the likes of Gore, just waiting. And you see as whatever sort of connecting this Oni, you see almost a tangible sort of wispy spiritual energy connecting them almost up to the sky of the swords. You're not entirely sure where it leads and why it's leading them or connected to Gore, but that's what you see before eventually it begins to fade and your eye returns to normal.
Wow, that was a trippy. Interesting stuff. I think she, I don't know if Gore sees it, but when she looks at it, I think she kind of will smirk at Gore.
Will Gore notice that, Sensei, or would it be kind of creeping?
Well, it's not even just that. It's the fact that Azora walks up. Keep in mind, all of you guys were chilling. Azora went to the water, and now her arms are coursing with an astrolite. She probably said something. All things considered, realizing this party and how it works, she probably said the bad word.
And Gore would be like, he would try to almost grab her arm and sort of almost safely cross her arms, kind of light, and he'd be like, "Quick one, you're being foolish again. Gore will only tell you this but so many more times. Rest. You always get so crazy when you don't get rest. You're saying the word. Fedge, ops, whatever it is. Rest." And he kind of be just trying to sit her down, he's concerned that the quick one is wilding and really wants her to chill out, just kind of he's trying to big brother her right now, no, lay down, you need to lay down, put the drink down, you need to lay down, you need to lay down, you need to lay down. That's the mentality. Go over, no, you need to stop drinking, it's okay, it's just sit down, sit down.
Azor will sit down, but she'll say, "Do not worry, Gore. It seems like for the first time in a long time, I've been able to truly see things as they truly may be. This is not the work of the ops, believe you me."
then perhaps your god, or even Phoenix. But like I said before, you won't see anything if you don't.
She takes a seat. She doesn't say more. She goes to sit by the fire, and we ain't got our tents or nothing anymore. So
Nah.
she's just gonna, I guess, sit by this fire and rest up.
And Gore would take, like, he was playing with that big ass bear fur before, and kind of like drape it over your shoulders and be like, and just pat you on the head. Quick one. Rest.
That being said, that is what happens over there. Addy Dark and Cora, what are you two doing off to the side? Or are you just pretty much resting, going to stationary position, or are you doing anything else?
I'm chilling. I was gonna do some scouting.
Gotcha. Addy Dark, you're pretty much making your rounds around the camp. You don't have to roll or anything. Begin to look back and see pretty much anything you can. See if there's any other bits of the corruption out or about, or pretty much any threats at all. Actually, I will say this. Addy Dark, make a perception check or investigation. It's either or, your choice. $13. You begin to look around, and you don't really seem to find anything, and eventually you begin to return back to the likes of camp. But as you do, begin to almost run into something. You begin to sort of come off and sort of move and sort of swing about as you run into the likes of a sort of or a spider web, a massive sort of cobweb. You can just almost sort of rip through it before you see sort of over the likes of your hand, sort of slowly crawling up it, just a tiny sort of spider that seems to have these strange greenish eyes of the sorts.
Can I snatch it in my hand?
Sure.
Grab that.
Easy enough. You try to grab the likes of the spider, easy enough as it, or sort of resides in the likes of your arms. Are you doing anything with it, or are you just keeping it there?
Oh no, I'm gonna squash it. Or
Easy enough.
Leave. What does Gore say? Is it crush? Is that his term?
That would be the term. You crush the likes of the spider, however, as you do, it seems to be with you grabbing it, it tries to immediately bite down onto you. However, it's nothing to do like really any damage. It's just kind of like a whatever sort of thing for you, just a little scratch. But you see as it begins to crush, or as you crush it and then drop it down to the ground, squashing it, you begin to wonder for some strange reason of why that thing was there. But one thing that seemed to be strange with it is that the eyes of this spider were kind of greenish, but ever changing for some strange reason. Make an intelligence check for me, Addy Dark.
I'm good morning. Oh, intelligence.
Yeah, intelligence. For that one, you hit the intelligence name, and then it will ask you for everything.
Ability check, huh?
Ugh.
Intelligence.
9 for a total of 7. Ugh. Not much really. The only thing I can really tell you is normal spiders, they don't have glowing green eyes. But that's about it.
Okay.
Easy enough. That said, Cora, are you doing anything, or nah, you just chilling, pretty much powering down until you can wake back up to at 4th?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is there any books like around?
Any books?
Yeah, like on whatever Philo gave us the paper. Is there like, where did he get the paper from?
It was more so Hannibal. He just kind of had a couple of papers, and not necessarily scrolls, but like things to just sort of write things down just in case and refer to notes. You could probably just go ask him for maybe one or two.
Yeah, Cora's gonna do that.
As you do so, you'll see as Hannibal responds, I have a couple of papers left, but not many. I'll hand them to you. What do you need these for exactly?
He would just look at him and say to write some notes. Or rather, thoughts.
Fair enough. I'll pass you the paper and let you do whatever you really want with it. That being said, with paper in hand, what do you seek to do with it, Cora?
She's gonna wait until the watch.
You got it. All right. Agni, I saw you were doing stuff over here earlier. What are you trying to do? Something?
He wants to see if he can find the remnants of his cat.
Yeah, they're kind of like squashed and, broken entirely. Way more damage compared to last time, but you're able to find the bits and pieces of it, for sure.
He's just going to be scavenging that, and then from there he's going to be ready to take a long rest or take watch, depending on what we decide.
All right, so if that's the case, I'm assuming because what it sounded like, you guys all want to take a long rest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so if that's the case, who are the first two people to take watch? You can pick an NPC if you need to, or you can just fly solo. Choice is yours.
Gore wants to take watch with Agni because, he wants to take watch with Agni. I just want to throw it out there.
All right,
Okay.
so you guys want to be first watch?
Yeah, we can take first watch.
All right, who is second watch?
Cora will take second.
All right, easy enough with that. If no one else will take second watch, then the likes of Hannibal will take second. All right, who will take third watch?
I'll take the final watch since I only need 4 hours.
I didn't even realize I was on mute. I was saying Azora would take the second watch.
Oh, okay, so Azora and Cora then. Easy enough. And then final watch, Zaman is taking the third one. Anybody joining him?
I'm just gonna be up for all three, so.
Yeah, you can pretty much be chilling the entire time. All right. If that's the case, then Hannibal will probably make sure to keep watch as well with the likes of Addy Dark and Zaman, but that'll be the third one. So, if that's the case, as you all begin to start bedding down for the for everything, you would have noticed almost immediately. I brushed past it by accident. For the first time, you guys are looking up towards the sky, and it is not nighttime. You actually would have seen as eventually it would have flickered for a brief moment in time, and it would change from a darkened sky with an aurora borealis to a brightened one of blue sort of nature. A couple of clouds here and there, but for the most part, clear skies. And that is the first one you've seen in a long time. That said, Agni and Gore. That being said, you guys can make your perception checks, and afterwards you can tell me what you want to say or do, and if you want to craft anything, you can also let me know as well.
Okay, let me do a perception check first.
6 and 17. All right. So, what are you guys doing throughout your watch?
Gore would fly over to Agni and he would be like, "Big one, before you say anything, Gore let you down from before. He's done his best to protect the little ones so far. Gore hopes he hasn't let you down."
Letting someone down isn't an issue. In the future, I will probably let all of you down. It's how you repent what you've done in the past. And as far as my knowledge, unless I've forgotten something again, you have learned from your ways. But it doesn't mean I haven't forgot what happened. You tried to do too much I'm guilty of that as well in the past. We seem to work a lot better when we're all together compared to one or two of us. We should forget that.
You lead well, big one. When Gore was a soldier, he would have loved to have you as one of the only in the pack. Gore respects you. But Gore must be honest. There was a time Gore lost his own mind. Being in this body has played tricks with Gore. And now these new blessings are unpredictable. Gore will do his best to crush those that oppose. But watch me on this new blood. And Gore almost looks like slightly, I guess slightly concerned, but he's trying to show you some level of sincerity. Do you remember when Gore had that axe? Gore could do nothing but crush.
I remember you swung on me with that axe, yes.
Gore felt the same when he went into a blind rage with the furry one, but it was different. Gore had to have blood. He could have chose anyone, but there was no one else but the furry one. Gore thinks he's almost controlled it. Just know when the moment comes again, 'cause Gore feels it will. Just have the right thing for him to crush in front of him.
Howdy, Dark. I will say, with your natural 20 on perception, you would be able to easily enough overhear their pretty much in the entire conversation.
You can have as much blood as you want, Gore. That doesn't concern me. What concerns me is when you go against the group, whether it's a rage or an instinct or a feeling. You keep attacking us, Gore. You're not going to last long. I suggest you get this power under control.
Big one. Gore will. Gore will crush the urges so that he can crush. You're enough of a leader. You will be able to see when that time comes. Gore, and he's gonna stick his arm out to you, is trusting you with his weakness. The others don't know. Well, the furry one does. But Gore will conquer this. Gore will crush this. With allies like this, when Gore perfects this, he will be the biggest force to worry of us all.
As he said that, Agni's going to sort of look at his hand with the black mark, and then he's going to say, as long as you never forget, Gore, power isn't really power without control.
Big one, you speak more wise now. Gore will follow. And Gore kind of like, almost like is like cross leg hovering, like kind of like you know, like rubbing his beard-esque. But remember, Gore is trying to get strong enough to kill another god. And I think you may be the one to help me do that. Gore will do his best to control this. Just know, Gore has a mission of his own.
We all have goals, motives. Just don't have it go against any of us. And there'll be no issues from me.
None of you worship that bastard anyway. So there's nothing to worry about there.
Gore, why do you hate this god so much?
And Gore looks almost like he kind of like not looks drifts out, but he looks like he kind of like hit a nerve, but kind of like almost hurt him just a little bit. Not in a sense of like hurt, or so just you hit a nerve, and Gore's like, Gore was the lucky one. The rest of my people turned to flowers, other creatures crushed in nothingness. For his amusement. Do you think a god like that deserves to live?
It's hard to fully understand God's motives. If you choose your path to kill a god, that's on you. I assume you're going to need to become a god to kill a god.
And Gore would look almost like, I never really thought about it that way. No. Gore wants to be stronger than gods. Why would I want to be as weak as the one I want to crush?
You say that Agni will actually let out like a chuckle as he hears you say, why would I want to be as weak as gods? Then go forth, Gore. Crush with all your might. I hope you accomplish your goal.
I knew you would, big one. And I have a feeling you may be able to help me. We will crush more. And Gore will get this under control.
That being said, unless there's anything you're trying to add.
No, I think it was a good Gore Agni conversation. You
After-
got a laugh out of him.
After he like says that, he would look over at Addy, and he's like, while he's talking, Agni's doing what he normally does, and he's like, cleaning his weapons and taking care of it. He would yell over at Addy, Addy, I know you don't really use your bat, but do you need any maintenance for it?
This, the baseball-shaped bat. Maintenance
Your
required.
weapon, yes.
No maintenance required. It destroys night creatures, and that's its only purpose.
Understood. If you change your mind, a weapon is an extension of your body. It should be kept in top form, just as your muscles.
Indeed. But as you can see in my people, lead and fight with our fists.
And Gore hearing you say that, since Gore has 2 short swords at the moment, for all random reason, he would give Agni the other one. Then maybe Phoenix has blessed me for you to make this better. And since he's already gave the long sword away back to Jade, he gives that other short sword to Agni.
I don't think I'm making anything better just yet, but Agni would take it, and as they're going above their chit chat, he would clean it and make sure there's nothing, no chips on it or burrs or anything like that, with his smith's tools.
And as you would do that, as you're just sort of cleaning the likes of the weapons, in the middle of the conversation, Agni, you begin to hear this begin to play in your head. You begin to hear a strange voice. One that somewhat rings familiar, but not really. And you hear this.
Need more individuals. Send as many forces as you possibly can. It seems to be that all of them are consumed the lights of these lands. Requesting all individuals, all generals, to Envy's plane.
Oh my god.
And that is what you hear in the likes of your head, Agni.
The amount of voices that Agni hears on the day in his head, it's kind of crazy.
It's kind of insane.
It's kind of crazy how many people talk to him in his head.
Yeah.
I guess hearing that, Agni would shake his head and he would look visibly disturbed. If either of you had just like a decent insight, you would probably realize something is going on with him, but he's doing his best to hide it.
Yeah, so
And Gore would be like, I don't know, would Gore notice it, or I gotta roll for that?
nah.
If you have like a passive insight of like 10, you would notice it.
Yeah, you're good.
I barely have 10. So this is not Gore's strong. Actually, he's 12 on the inside. But Gore would be like, big one, you don't look well. It's time for you to rest as well.
Yes, rest. It's been quite a long battle. It seems like there are more on the horizon.
Addy Dark. Oh, go ahead, Gore.
No, go ahead. Do you think?
I think Addy Dark would turn to Agni and be. You seem shaken up. A skirmish like this.
Not
do that to you.
skirmish. Oh, go ahead.
No. This skirmish, I've seen you fight. And by the way, Ignos would be proud of the fire you've brought. Something on your mind. Other night creatures.
I can assure you, there's no night creatures here. But there are plenty of voices. Voices in my head that seem to pull me in different directions. One just spoke to me now. A familiar one, nonetheless. It seems I failed in one of my original missions. There's going to be multiple wars coming up. Seems like I'm needed in all of them.
Well, I guess this reminds me of each element of people.
I cut out a little bit, V. Yeah, a little bit.
You know what it is? Oh, I know what it is. Stroke of Bless. Is this better or worse?
Worse because we can hear our echo, and then it can hear the things playing through your mic.
Oh no. The ultimate technical difficulty.
I think it's good right now. Could be wrong.
I don't think it is.
It sounds better. You're not cutting out like you were.
I'm not. All right. I say these voices, they pull you.
Oh man,
my people are pulled by many others. Too much? Oh, all right, you see, I got swap.
The problems with playing online. God damn. That's all good, buddy. But yeah, it is cutting out a little bit. Here. Let's see if I can do anything on my end. Maybe do that.
How close is like your mic to you? Because it sounds like it picks it up, but then it doesn't pick it up. Like maybe your sensitivity is really low, or your mic is far away.
They bounced out for a second. They're gonna rejoin in a minute.
Oh, okay.
I think even if they lower the sensitivity, then it'll start echoing off of what they can hear. So, yeah. In the meantime, while that is all happening, actually, hold up. I think we're good now.
Can you hear me now or no?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's technical difficulties. It's all right.
So good
money, yeah.
Yeah. Well, cause now I'm on mobile, bro. Mobile life. Boost.
Oh, yeah, definitely sounds good now.
Yeah.
All right. What was I saying? Pulled by many voices. My people are also pulled by each element. And sometimes you must just pick one. Stick with it. That stance will guide your battle. Fill your heart. And with that, it is your choice to pick that path.
I feel like with some of them, don't really have a choice.
Well, let me assure you this. If there's many wars to fight, if you keep breathing fire, you still have my aid in battle.
Fire courses through me, Addy, more than you know. But I take that back. I think you probably know more than others.
That being said, that is all. Eventually, as you begin to converse throughout the night, your watch goes by, for the most part, uneventful. And eventually, you wake the likes of your allies in Azora and Zaman. No. Wait. I believe it was Azora and Korra, second watch, and then Zaman and Hannibal third, unless I'm crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Korra's
Yeah.
next.
Azora and Korra. So, as you begin to wake up, Korra, you begin to boot and power back on. You look about and begin to start scanning the area. Eventually, Azora is woken up by the likes of Addy Dark or Gore. And as this happens, I need both of you to make perception checks. And then afterwards, if you're trying to craft or do anything, then let me know. And you can tell me what you say or do during the watch. If nothing, then we can skip past it.
I don't have to keep rolling, do I?
Nah, it wouldn't. Well, yeah, you probably would because this is for different watches each time. So yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll roll.
I'll get. Yeah, you're probably gonna want to roll 8 and a 5.
I was about to say, yo.
Ugh. Oh man. I said Azora, Korra, Addy Dark.
I'm not as observant as the last watch. Lazy watch.
Let's just say she woke up a little groggy, her eye a little bit sore, got overused.
I said, what do you three do as you begin to take watch, if anything at all?
Yeah, Azora, she's gonna kind of look at her palm, see if everything's back to normal, her arm's not coursing over with astral light anymore, and
they seem to be fine.
Yeah, and she's gonna go actually to speak with Addy. As she approaches Addy, she says, "It has been quite some time since you've been part of our party. I just want to say, even though you weren't with us in our past adventures, it has been quite interesting to see your dedication and your fighting skills in protecting those around you. Others may not have noticed, but I definitely know when I was up that far on the jellyfish, seeing you down here battling the ops, it was thanks to you that the tower wasn't overrun. I appreciate that on behalf of the rest of the party. Our party.
And she gestures towards you to include you as well in the hour.
You are quite the rambunctious bunch. But, as I've said many times, you've allied with me against the night creatures. And anyone who's willing to kill them is an ally of mine. Agni's additional affinity for fire is just, how should I say, a plus.
This is good news then. Hopefully along the way, if we come across these creatures of the night, we'll have an expert on our hands. But I have to ask, where does this animosity towards these creatures come from? I can't say I've met many in my past, but perhaps you can give me some type of information about them in case I ever see them. I can
Thank you, Pale Dragon, for the raid. Appreciate you guys. Much love, much love. I am DMing at the moment, so I won't be able to talk too much to you guys, but it is very much appreciated
Why don't
that
you
you guys
gather around
decided
the
to raid
table?
us. Much love, guys.
And I will tell you a fable.
You can't say that,
So
Addy Doc. Now shut up.
First, the night creatures.
Oh, fuck! I was muted. Addy Doc, you would begin to hear as you can't say that, Addy Doc. Now sit down and continue forth.
I was like, it can't. I was like, I thought I was gonna hear like roll a D100.
Get smited.
Oh man, you do get a D4 from inspiration from Ilva though, from Secrets in the Sands, Addy Dark.
Many appreciated, many appreciated.
Oh man.
But Azura, I'll tell you, my people, we've been in battle with them for many, many, many years. There's not much I quite remember, but I do remember one thing. The smell of the smoke when they burned my village. It was then that I grew nothing but hate towards them. I seek vindication, vengeance, whatever you call it. These night creatures are an abomination. They are neither living nor dead. I do not fear hell. I do not fear nothing in the light. But the living dead is not of this world. Where folks swear, and we shall always destroy them. They come in many forms, but they only prey in the night. And with the light, it guides us to defeat them.
So you're saying creatures like the ones that attacked Trog when we first met him, there are other creatures out there with similar attributes, you're saying? And these creatures, they attacked your village. Were you the only survivor, or do you have any siblings or a mentor, perhaps someone who taught you the way of the, if she looks at you, the bat?
Those memories, as with most in this company, are fleeting. I couldn't even tell you. You were the first people I've seen what felt like a decade wandering in that mist earlier. I hope to one day be reunited with my people, but I truly don't know if I'm the only one.
By any chance, do you even recall where your village was? No shame if you can't. I will also admit I do not know where my original peoples were from. It being here though, and she takes a look around the region, the area. something about this place does feel also familiar. Individuals like Hannibal and the architecture we've seen, it almost feels like home. What about you? Do you remember where your home was?
Addy Dark, you actually would roughly not. You wouldn't know like exactly where it is, but you would know the region it is. There wouldn't be any real reason you wouldn't be able to understand it. You are originally from the Azure Taiga, as was decided. So it's more of a snowy sort of region, a landscape of the sorts.
My people will always. Oh, go no, you done?
I mean, but again, you don't really know too much about the land because, again, amnesiac background, you don't really remember much. But you could probably try to ask any one of them to see if they can help jog any memories, but that's it.
Gotcha. The land I was from it was cold and the taiga, as they say. But my people, I may have misled you. We are a nomadic tribe at heart. We always moved. Partially hunting, partially never wanted to stay put long enough for the night creatures to find us.
Are these creatures, these ones of the night, do they have some sort of affinity for your people? Is this some type of, how do you say, like a blood feud between your village, your family, and these creatures of the night? Sort of like how everywhere we go, it seems as though the ops are on us. We always seem to have to put them down, despite how far we travel. There's a op around every corner. It seems to be an op in every tree, every hood.
You can't.
Oh my god. What have you all done? You can't even finish it.
It could have been Jeff, but it's this
Cannon.
now. Right?
It was Cannon, bro.
It could have been Jeff, but it's
Ops
this.
out to get us.
I'm sorry, but are they somewhat tied to your family, or why is it that they hunt you in your kind so?
At first, it was just a feud, but then it deepened. It became more. Gods were involved. We chose sides. That's all I truly know.
She looks at you and she tries to think about, like, possibly, I mean, she doesn't remember, of course, but she wonders if her clan had any any enemies or anything like that, or if they were ever at war with any other clan. And she looked. Go ahead.
Try to make a history check if you want.
Yeah, I'll do this one at diesel advantage.
Yeah. 17.
Still 17 though.
Yeah. With a 17, it's more so you try to recall the things and events that you do kind of remember, even though it's not much at all. You begin to remember, not necessarily, actually, if I remember this right, I gotta confirm this. Yeah, not necessarily knowing too much about the likes of your clans and its sort of relationship with other clans, more so because you remember having to, or kind of growing up, not necessarily on the mainland of Jaded Dragon Valley. You begin to recall being in the likes of a small, closed-off island of the sorts. Begin to start thinking and reminiscing and trying to remember you walking down the streets where there were multiple sort of structures and buildings and people, but most of these individuals being warriors of the sorts. Individuals capable of battle, training themselves, honing their blades and skills to become not necessarily the best, but someone worthy to participate in something. A task, a challenge. But again, you just remember it only being a small, certain few capable of becoming these champions, willing to take on whatever task that may have been. The island that this would have taken place on being the island of Bayani, as it begins to become clearer and clearer towards you. If we don't have that in your notes, I will write it down for you. The island of
Appreciate that.
Bayani. Oop. And also, fun fact, the name was made by and Super Tired.
Okay, I see you out there, Lika.
I forgot what it meant specifically, but it has a meaning behind it. She'll probably tell me in chat.
Yeah, she'll think about that, and surprises coming to her head. And the moment the memory starts to fade, and as much as she wants to focus on it, she just thinks back to the fact that, well, she just thinks back to that name, Ravakar, for some reason, like her own personal vendetta. And she says to Addy, well, either way, if these creatures of the night are coming for you, then they come for us. And together, she like flicks her blade, like the hilt of her blade with the thumb, so like it slightly comes up and you see the glow of her sword. And as she says, together we'll distinguish all darkness that comes our way.
That being said, as this occurs, you all, or both of you, begin to look out and about, and you do see something strange happening in the sky. Cora, you are the first one to notice this sort of happening. You look out and about, and despite it being blue skies and for the most part clear as day, you see something twinkling from above, and you see a star of the sorts just flying across the likes of the sky, despite it being pure day. You see as it soars across and begins to continue forth or past the entire region rapidly, but eventually it begins to fade and pass. Azora and Addy Dark, you two eventually are able to see it, but do any of you three react to it, or do you continue on with the rest of your watch?
I mean, I know it's far, but can Azora like peer up and possibly get a closer look?
Well, again, it's kind of like a star shooting in the sky at the moment.
So it's moving fast. Okay. She would. I don't know. At this point, she's gonna hold her palm up to it. Like again, she is just finding any ways to trigger this thing, and like, you know, nothing may come of it. She just, at this point, she's desperate to find any way to activate this thing.
You hold your hand towards the sky, but it doesn't seem to react.
Yeah, she closes her palm and kind of like low-key feeling embarrassed. Hope Addy didn't like really notice that, and she goes to walk back towards the flame. And as she does, as she does, she says to Cora, I hope you're well rested, Cora. It seems this journey is only just beginning. And then she just sits by the flames and kind of tosses things inside it, and she's kind of bullshitting at this point.
That being said, Cora, are you doing anything throughout the watch or nah?
Cora was gonna write in her papers, but we can just start with all that.
All right. Anything specific you're writing or nah? Super stuff.
She was just writing stuff regarding Aurora's, but like I said, we can just do all that.
I mean, if you want to, we can go through it.
Nah, because we already took way too much time. It's cool. I'll just do it next time. It's no biggie.
All right, if you say so. That being said, eventually the rest of your watch goes by uneventful, and we look towards the likes of Zaman and Hannibal and Addydark. Eventually you wake up with the likes of Zaman, and then Hannibal right afterwards. Zaman make a perception check, Addydark make a perception check, and Hannibal will make his. Ugh. Ugh. Oh god.
Blinded.
Oh no. That being said, 9, a 6,
the later it gets
and
in
a
night,
5.
the more lazy dudes be getting out here, man.
Still waking up.
You see his Hannibal, he got a little bit of crust in his eye. It's bad. He can't see shit.
Zaman running off that window vistas.
Nah, bro. Definitely 97.
Do you want me to stay up with you?
Cora can if you want. Yeah, at this point, Cora, you could have stayed up pretty much. I'll tell you what. You can make a perception check too, Cora, if you were not powering down again.
Because I mean, I technically did my full rest, right? I don't need to go back.
Yeah, you can actually mark down a long rest for you. Same thing with you, Zaman. If you've already gotten your long rest stuff. All right, 18. So Cora's at least able to pick up the slack when it comes to this one. But that said, is there anything you are doing or saying, or are you skipping through?
Zaman is going to try to make some cartographer tools.
Alrighty, so making cartographer's tools. So as you begin to start crafting, let's see what or how many resources you guys have. All right, party resources, Valley of Dreams. Okay. Oh, I also need to. I meant to do that. Oh god, this is gonna be bad. But we're gonna need to start reducing the amount of food that you guys have, and as well as the water. But we'll do that in just a moment. Right now, Valley of Dreams, you have 7 out of 15 food, which is about to get reduced. 5 out of 15, which is gonna get reduced. 6 out of 15 mana. 15 out of 15 materials. 0 out of 15 medicine. And 13 out of 15 soul coins. Now let's see how much that is about to get reduced. So you guys have an actual army with you. So there is 1. Philo needs to eat. Zora needs to eat. That's 2. Hannibal 3. Trog 4. Mao is 5. Addydark is 6. Gore is 7. And Agni is 8. Is there anybody else? Nope, that is it. So you need to feed a total of 8 people. However, you only have 7.
Would Trog's trap found anything that he set up?
Oh yeah, that is true. We didn't ever go over there. Let's see if he got lucky enough. I was gonna make or survival checks with his traps. 16. Oh man, it is a lucky day. The 16 Trog's trap actually would have been able to catch a small little rabbit that he would be able to cook and eat. So, and keep in mind, he doesn't really cook it. He just kind of bites down into it and pretty much just consumes the rabbit. It's bad. It's very bad.
He likes it. I love it.
He does not work. He just kind of would probably look at anybody during the watch and just start, takes it out of the trap and just bites its entire head off.
Question: Does does he skin the rabbit or he just eats the rabbit as a?
No, he just straight up eats the rabbit.
Oh shit.
As you do. Make a nature or a history check, Cora.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Was that towards me?
I mean, I guess anybody looking towards Trog like he's crazy, as he just bites a rabbit's head off and just starts eating it. You can make a nature or a history check. So 13 and 18. So, all right, and then you guys aren't connected to nature. Actually, Zaman, you are, but not by the way I'm thinking of or looking for. So, what you know about lizard folk are, they're, when it came, do you remember how I said that story to Jade of like how Karametra kind of blessed a lot of the other animalistic races, giving them sentience and all that stuff? Lizard folk, they were kind of, as much as it kind of sucks, they kind of refuted a lot more of Karametra compared to the other individuals. And kind of, despite like having full-on sentience for a brief moment in time, they kind of resorted to more hunter-like sort of capabilities and primitive sort of ways of thinking, as well as in the sense of surviving. Surviving being, for the most part, their main focus rather than anything else. Survival. They don't really focus on luxuries in the sense of cooking the likes of food, or really preparing or like wielding the likes of more and more sort of armor. They don't really have a need for sharpening their sort of weapons. They'll just get a better weapon in the sense to hunt better. In the sense of when it comes to like hunting food and rabbits, they don't feel there's a point of or eating and cooking the likes of a rabbit, because that's just wasting more time where they could be using it to find more materials or survive even better, or finding more things to help survive better. Very, very efficient individuals, but kind of primitive for the most part.
Was it just one rabbit?
I was just one rabbit, but the good news is that is all you, or he does not need to eat, and because he does not need to eat, you are able to deduct all of your food stock and no one goes by starving, so you don't have to worry about that. Bad news is you guys only have 5 out of 15 water, so if that's the case,
are people able to use that moat right there to get water?
you guys never decide to actually like clean it or anything like that. It's just kind of water that has dead corruption in it.
Copy.
So it is 5 out of 15 water. That means 3 people are going to have to go by without drinking. It can be NPCs, but keep in mind if you go without drinking water, you will have exhaustion until you do start drinking water. While you guys are deciding that, I'm gonna go thank this raid. Be right back, guys. Thank you, Nat30s, for the raid. Appreciate you guys so much. You guys are freaking fantastic. Now, I will say, it is much appreciated, but I am DMing at the moment, so I won't be paying too much attention to the likes of chat, but it is appreciated. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves, and hope all of the stream went well on your end. That says, special shout out to the stream team rolling together. You guys are fantastic individuals. I'm gonna do the shout out command, the Nat30s. There you go. Boom. Thank you guys so much. Hey, everybody in the channel watching right now, be sure to go leave a follow over to there on their stream. But right now we're playing some D&D in a giant persistent universe known as Project Aurora. I'll drop the description of Project Aurora, but after that I gotta get going and keep DMing for my players. Thank you guys. See you at the end of it.
To begin with, because I used the like super Phoenix down, so there's no exhaustion.
You saying in general you've been exhausted?
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying I don't know. Does your Phoenix down help prevent that at all?
We were saying you're saying there was no exhaustion this round for whatever reason, because I was like already full HP, ready to go.
What are you referring to?
So since Addie's not taking a long rest,
yeah,
does he need to drink water?
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. I would probably honestly say nah, he doesn't. I would actually say he doesn't need to eat food either, if he didn't want to save resources.
So 2 people have to go thirsty.
Yeah.
Yep. I will take that L as as Agni easily.
All right, so Agni will be exhausted, and dehydrated, and then who else?
Yeah, and Azora's gonna take it, but I will ask, just to, gotta ask the question.
Fair
Now,
enough.
Philo is a fungus man. I'm liking it.
Uh-huh.
If he placed his feet in that water, like, he don't got no filtration system.
I mean, Philo.
I just gotta ask the question. Just gotta ask the question.
That man is like 50% dirt, bro.
I mean, his body is poison. I mean, his body is poison.
She's old, but he's not that old.
Bruh,
Damn.
he is out the. That is the definition of out the mud, bro. He is out the mud, bro.
Like, he literally decomposes things.
Like, he keeps on going in the ground. He keeps on going in the ground repeatedly, like, ooh, dirt. That feels good amongst my whatever is.
That's not how it works.
I would think he prefers the dirty water, to be honest.
That's my argument.
Yeah.
I
I'll
just
tell
gotta
you
ask the
what,
argument.
if you can convince Philo in character to go connect to that dirty corruption water over there, then we can maybe make it happen for this one time. Other than that,
I just showed him his new resting spot. It's very comfy down there.
all right. What do you say to Philo in character? This can be during any one of your watches to convince him to do that.
I mean, Azor as a character, Kane is just asking the questions.
Zaman would ask. Zaman would.
All right, bro, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, what do you say to Philo? Move your token over there. He's napping at the moment.
Zaman, because Zaman is super curious. So he's like,
Zaman is definitely asked that. That's 100% a Zaman thing.
Definitely a Zaman question.
Hey, can you clean that water with your feet, bro?
The man would say, Philo, are you seem pretty connected with nature. I remember last time we talked. Hello? Do you hear me, Philo?
He's snoring, bro.
Well, the man will, I guess, shake him awake a little bit.
We come up for this question. Y'all is monsters.
You see as he
Yeah,
begins to look
literally
up.
wake a man up from his long rest.
You see as he had the little mushroom hat kind of going over his eyes, and he's just kind of chuckling to himself as he usually does when he sleeps. And he just looks and says, what? Oh,
How you doing, Philo?
I was fine. I was just conversing with the colony.
Sorry to interrupt. But I did have a question for you. You seem to be quite in tune with nature, even to the point where your own body can release potential toxins in the air. That moat over there, I know it's been infected, but are you able to filter it?
Let me look at what he's got. Oof. I could. This is on the third watch. I mean, I can prepare it if you really wish me to.
We seem to be limited with water resources, so to allow everyone to get a nice drink, it could be helpful.
Begin to look over past you, see like the water off to the side, and it's just like,
Yeah, we turned our NPC to a janitor. This is why.
Who's this me? This was y'all idea.
Well, you are a druid. Wouldn't you do the same? Why ask me?
Zaman.
He said you're a vacuum cleaner, bro.
No,
Zaman looks at him. He says, "Drew, I'm a druid. What's And then he looks at his body like it's coursing with minerals and stuff. He says, I'm unfamiliar. I just thought my metallic body just naturally had an inclination towards minerals.
I didn't know you were unaware of it. But no, You, in fact, are a druid. You have a special connection to the land around you. No other individual is really truly capable of that sort of connection besides one of us. Actually, I'm curious. Do you know our, well, native tongue?
The native tongue. Can you speak it?
What the fuck does druidic sound like? I don't even know. I've never understood what the hell druidic sounds like. Alright. Go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say probably like a bunch of whispers or animal sounds. Who knows?
Yeah.
Better start meowing.
I'm glad it wasn't me who had to do this because we be getting some serious like ad libs right now from me.
You need
I
to use.
got it for Kanan. It's about to be rapping to that boy.
Yeah, everything you learned from your
Bird
session
call.
earlier, your stream earlier of combining people's voices, you got to combine animal noises now. I hope you studied. This is the test.
Nah, bro. Nah, I'm definitely expecting some like Chicago lingo on this one, bro. I'm expecting something, bro. Let me get some woo woos or something in there, bro.
Oh my god. No.
Where has this stream gone right now?
Where has it
Where are we
gone?
going? This no one see the madness. Where are we going? Are people still watching this? What have we done?
Yeah, we got 45 people watching, bruh.
We're talking about, oh man, Kane is like, yes, the ops. They are around every corner, in every hood. And then meanwhile, we have talking about, oh yeah, druidic is just Chicago lingo. I see. Oh
I'm start
my.
playing Chance the Rapper in the background.
Oh my lord. I'll say, fuck it. Yeah, I'll say druidic is like just a random cacophony of just random ass animal sounds. So like you'll see and this is one of the things that throws you off the most. Now Philo is a very, very strange individual. Oh, calm, but you see as he begins to just start meow, and just literally starts saying different things in the span of animals. You hear as he begins to just snort for a little bit. Every animal in the book across the barnyard, he just begins to say it and then replies, "Did you get all of that?"
Zaman will look at him and say, I did. I don't know. How did I understand that?
Are you? This is druidic. It is a language to communicate between not necessarily the likes of animals, but to mimic them in a way to converse with other druids. Think of it as, a cipher.
A cipher.
Go
And
ahead,
then
try it.
You hear Zaman start trying to mimic what he just heard. He said,
Hey, what's that sound like?
he just start making all these different sounds, just like
he sound like he was pledging D9.
Them all. It's just,
No,
where are we right now?
Did you say DMX is a druid, bro? Oh my god. Alright.
This is comedy.
You just hear anybody on watch with Zaman would just hear Zaman and a robotic sort of sound just barking like a fucking dog. You look around to see if there's any animals around. You just look and see Philo and Zaman. You're pretty sure they've lost it. You're pretty sure something's wrong with them.
And at the end, you hear a growl like a bear.
See, now you're getting it. A little bit more sort of gravelly with that one, but in time. Don't worry, young Zaman. Over the course of our travels, I'll make sure to be able to teach you.
And Zaman would ask, since since we're very similar, Philo, how would I purify that moat over there?
Oh, well, typically when, at least the way I do it, it may be slightly different, but I'm sure the principles still apply. I would begin to sort of, not necessarily pray to nature, but to try to become attuned to it. You understand? To hone in on all the bits of the environment around. Hearing if there were any animals, the chirping of the birds, the sort of rustling of the grass, and feeling the wind amongst my, well, amongst my person. I'd assume you'd do the same, but in your eye, kind of leaning in close to get a better eye view or perspective, you'd probably do the same with those minerals, sort of hovering around you occasionally.
Taking this in, Zaman would attempt to purify the moat.
That being said, do you prepare yourself? What you would need to do is purify food and drink, as the spell he's referring to.
Yeah, let me. What am I going to unprepare?
All right. While you're doing that, Agni, you do receive a D4 health potion in or to you. So probably kind of toward when you're sleeping, Agni, you would. The first thing you would witness is a tiny sort of circular individual, kind of handing you a health potion off to the side. They realize you're kind of sleeping and they begin to just sort of rest it beside the likes of your shell for when you wake up.
Thank you.
Question.
Do you add it to my inventory or should I?
It's a D4, so just a D4 health potion, so you can just make a mental note of it. Go ahead, Zaman.
Question: How do rituals work with druids? Does it need to be prepared or?
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe someone in chat can remind me, or someone here can. I actually don't remember that. Ritual casting. Rituals need to be prepped for everyone but wizards. I see. Okay.
And it doesn't take a spell, so if I do it as a ritual, correct?
Yeah, so yeah, they're right. Unless it's wizards, and no, it does not take a spell slot.
Copy.
Yeah, I looked it up on D&D Beyond to confirm.
Then that is what Zaman would do.
All right, so
he will go over here.
Oh, good.
And you see him. You see Zaman. You see like the different like pieces of like minerals and stuff start to course around him, and he puts his hand in the water, and you see it just to start to separate out the impurities, leaving clean drinking water.
As you begin to do so, you see as the bits of sort of destruction and more begins to fade from the likes of it, as it's purified and cleaned. That being said, all right. So the good news is you will be able to get a bit of water and all that stuff. The bad news is you weren't able to convince Philo to do or to drink or stand in the water himself. So you will say, but at least you will be able to have or almost not a maxed out. Make a wisdom check to see how much water you're able to purify and clean from this. This will determine how much of the water stock you're about to get.
Is pure wisdom just ability check?
Yeah, just pure wisdom.
Can I add a D10 for my?
Yes, you can from inspiration. Or no, Oracle. Oh, big 8. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna add my D4 inspiration just to get it.
There you go.
Go to finish line.
8 plus 11, that is 19 plus a 3, that is a 22. That is good work, my friend. So, between the likes of that, you're able to get, roll a D4 for me. You're able to get a decent amount of water. You get a total of 11 stocks of water. As you take the bit of time and resources necessary, you're able to fill up the likes of all your sort of areas and vials to sort of contain it, and you're good to go. All right. So I'm
Yeah. Love to see it. See, you gotta ask the questions sometimes.
Gotta ask the questions.
Now we know Zaman has a filtration system in that
Gosh,
body.
ask the questions. Got that Brita water filter juice, boy.
Useful and
I don't
all.
know. This better not be. This better not be Dasani.
Right.
hell no.
And when just to ask Zaman, now when
Bro.
you suck up the water, where you pouring it out of? What tap?
Oh, bro, you know, I gotta take it from Jade, so you know where it's coming from, bro.
Oh no!
I think Azura's gonna go exhausted.
Yeah, I'm gonna go exhausted. I'm gonna pass on this water.
Hell nah.
Go ahead and drink that one little bit that was inside his water skin and give y'all the side eye look like, nah, I'm good, bro.
This water is gross.
Azura passes hers to Tron. No, it's the
He drinks up, bro. He drinks up. Oh man. All right. This water is a Kirkland signature. Jesus Christ.
Nah, smart water only. Smart water only.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can. If you get high enough level, you can get smart water. But right now, it's Dasani. It's that bad. It is bad, but it'll do.
So this that Flint, Michigan.
Got a couple
Not
drops of
Flint,
oil in it.
Michigan.
You good? You good?
All right. So, regardless, you guys are you won't be exhausted anymore. Those of you who did go exhausted without the water, unless you just straight up don't want to drink Dasani water from Jade.
Azura's gonna. She'd even look. She'd even see how the sausage is made.
That's it. You guys are good to go. Eventually, because I don't think there's anything else, your rest begins to come to a conclusion.
I guess if I.
Did you want to do anything else?
Yeah, I was gonna make cartographer tools, but if I purify the water, I don't know if I can do both.
I mean, it's just a quick little thing. So yeah, if you want to make your cartographer's tools real quick, make our survival check. You guys have plenty of materials. 16. That will be enough to beat it. That said, let me check to see how many or how much tools cost to make. Real quick. Base building. No, crafting. All right. Tools. It takes 7 materials, but it'll be probably worth it. All right. So you guys go down to the likes of 8 materials, and keep in mind you still haven't scavenged and like picked up the remains of, you know, like the towers and walls around you. So you're pretty good right now.
Got it.
That said, as you begin to take a bit of time, you make the likes of cartographer's tools, and now you have the likes of, well, the capabilities of being able to track down a map, or keep the likes of where you have all been onto a map. As this happens and occurs, does Zaman start filling out and trying to map out kind of where you guys have been?
Yeah, he's gonna try to make a map in reference to everything. I guess he can only map the Jade Dragon Valley at the moment, so
Yeah.
he's gonna make that.
All right, I'm going to try this to my best ability, but that being said, everybody, you all reawaken and you guys gain the benefits of a long rest. You can just update your tokens. That being said, if there's anything you want to do or more, let me know and we can begin with that. If not, you guys can start getting ready to head out towards or to Philo's home.
Is it a roll to like break things down, or?
It is a survival check if you want to break everything down.
Okay.
You can have, if someone's helping, you can get advantage though.
Yeah, I would say let Zaman take the lead and.
I see Gore just rolling without talking. Okay. It's being that Zaman was integral in building things. Azora would give Zaman that assistance.
Zaman actually probably wouldn't be able to do it right now because they're kind of mapping out stuff at the moment.
Azora will.
I have decent survival. It's +3.
Yeah, I have a +3. I have a +3 as well.
Then we'll just each roll.
All right. So yeah,
go for it.
Zora's gonna go over here, start trying to break down these walls.
Those are 2 separate things, so yeah, you guys can just split it up. into 2.
Hey,
Trog would probably help
yeah,
out
okay.
Agni. Hannibal would and wait, hold on, go ahead, Addy Dark.
I definitely accidentally hit the long rest button. I don't know if it did anything. I don't think it did though. I don't know.
No, you're good. You're good to hit the long rest button. Hannibal will probably help out Azora. So you guys both get advantage.
Okay. I
21
guess you got
and
21 and 21.
Headphones died. I missed everything.
Oh man. Basically they are breaking down the likes of the fort and all that stuff. So as you guys are able to do that, you guys are able to pretty much refill all of your material resources back to full. As you take the likes of between the 4 of you, you're able to gather bits of the wood, the sort of stones and more, and kind of peering through what seems to be useful and kind of leaving behind what's really not. As that happens, you guys break down the likes of the campsite, and eventually you, or Zaman, you specifically begin to finish the likes of your map after a bit of time. And alright, I'm gonna try my best to get this correct. I hope to God, or I'm gonna be very, very angry. But here, I'm gonna try to like make sure this thing works one more time. So tokens, jaded dreams, and configure permissions. Okay, they're an observer. Everybody else is an observer. Everybody else has none. Okay. I'm hoping, I'm praying. Let's see what happens. This is what you guys have seen so far. It's gonna be a big map, so expect a very long load time. All right, my friends.
A dot.
Yeah, that one little dot.
Oh boy, showing the likes of. So this is where oh no, it's inaccurate. I'm gonna spread out where you guys have been. So for those of you who are on the stream, this is about as much as all the groups besides Rhyme the Frostman, because they haven't mapped. No group or the Ascent has actually mapped out where the hell they are. But this is about as how much they've actually sort of explored across all the campaigns. Not much. So let's go look over to Valley of Dreams and see exactly how much you guys have explored. Don't move the token. Just let me do it. So you guys all started this grand adventure near a massive sort of waterfall of the sorts. All around you pretty much saw the likes of sort of fort or forest, and even the likes of floating islands and more around you. That being said, eventually you guys decided to climb the likes of this sort of waterfall, and you traveled up the likes of this sort of mountainous sort of side, climbing as you could before fighting the likes of the Orog and the corruption in the caves inside. Eventually, through a bit of travel, you were able to sort of traverse and eventually find yourselves onto this side of the waterfall. Some of you flowing through the water itself, going from underground up above, others deciding to just climb the rest of this sort of trek and journey until getting up here. Eventually, you guys were able to travel forth and see the likes and make a little miniature outpost for you guys to sort of rest and do as you do. You fought the corruption here and you kicked their ass. You did, however, see briefly the likes of Korra being able to see these massive sort of floating island structures, and I will reveal what these look like right now in time. If I can, I'm just gonna drag that out. And you are at least capable of seeing them, you just haven't really traversed to it. But also, I believe it was Agni who has mentioned, or who talked to the likes of Philo. They were the ones who decided to talk about the likes of this strange sort of volcanic mountainous thing up to or kind of north of them. They don't know what's sort of past it, but they do know it's at least there as well. Past the sort of mountainous structures, you would have been able to see over the likes of the waterfall a small little jungle of Jaded Dragon Valley leading to, well, you're not entirely sure because none of you really remember the likes of this map or how much has sort of changed. So that is about that. Meanwhile, over here, it was when you guys had the or encounter with the likes of the bears, you guys ran into a sakura forest, which was or residing here, and more. It's a little bit past that. Agni decided to go to a small miniature bamboo forest off to the side, which was located roughly about here. Now, you would know, as Hannibal would kind of mention, Philo's village it's not there, but it's definitely in that direction. So you'll be having to go that way to get to where you need to be.
And the coordinates that Cora told us, we would have no idea where there's at.
No, you would have no idea.
Copy.
If you're to guess, they were probably they have to be southward. There's no way it could be in this sort of general area.
What about where Gore and Addy were at?
Or where Gore and Addy, you guys were pretty much just in the nearby forest, so probably like around roughly like right here. Not too far at all. Probably not even that far, but just kind of right next to the Sakura forest.
Gotcha.
All right. That being said, that is what Valley of Dreams has sort of discovered. They have or pretty much explored the most out of any group, though they've been stationary for now. But it seems to be that your next leg of the journey will begin in just a moment. So, that said, is there anything you guys are doing, or are you guys heading out towards Philo's village?
Philo's village it is.
Nothing else.
All right.
Cora would just tell Zaman on the map, like she will point and say, like, this is the north. This is the way of the north.
Yeah, I could barely hear you, bro. You said you tell me what on the map?
Where north is.
Copy.
Mm-hmm.
Can I mark that on the map? I don't know, like I put like an N or something.
Are you basically just trying to figure out, like, mark down, like, where's north, east, west, and south?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to worry about it. It's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Which way is north? Literally, like, north on the map. It's accurate and all that stuff. I'll see if I can activate it, and it does it in a small amount of time. North would just be this direction. Oh, whoops. Like this direction and all that stuff.
Copy.
Alrighty, if that's the case, I didn't hear anybody trying to do anything else, so you all begin to travel past and through the likes of the forest.
We can,
I'm going to
take that cart with us, right? That we created?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure these two individuals are here as well in this new map. And there's a Mao, there is not a Trog. All right, so as the party begins to continue on traversing through the likes of the forest, they spend about several hours walking through. It's a long journey, and it is definitely difficult moving with the wagons, as there's not really much of a path to wherever you're trying to go. There's lots and lots of sort of greenery and beautiful forests, and occasionally you do hear the chirping of birds, which is a very, very welcome sight. And as you're typically not used to being able to hear much of any wildlife traversing through Voden. But as this happens, you guys all arrive to here. You guys may talk amongst yourselves. I gotta thank a raid real quick. Be right back. Holy crap, raid from Strixhaven. Holy moly, you guys are insane. Runaway Robot with the 35-person viewer raid. You guys are insane. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all the support, and thank you for the raid, my friends. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream earlier, and hope everything went well. You guys are fantastic individuals. But I will say, though it is much appreciated, I am DMing at the moment, and I do got to prioritize the players and everything, because that's just kind of how I roll. That's kind of how I do as a professional dungeon master. But that being said, grab some popcorn, grab a drink, and enjoy yourself. And welcome to Project Aurora. You can read about that down below in the chat. And other than that, I'll see you guys at the end of it. Thank you guys, and much love to Runaway Robot. Everybody, go make sure to follow their channel if you are on this stream right now. But you got to share the love of the D&D community. All right, see you guys.
Yes, one step at a time, though. We seem to have a lot on our plate at the moment.
grade.
It shows Philo is barely injured.
Yeah. Did I not give him a long rest? Let me see that.
Too busy
Maybe
drinking
I
dirt
didn't.
water, apparently.
Yeah, dirt water Dasani is gonna do that to you, especially if it's coming from Zaman. But nah, I'm joking.
So, are we like in the thickets over here? Like, or is there a path
Yeah.
like hypothetically
There's
down
not
here,
really
or-
much of a path. I mean, granted, you can walk. I mean, there are trees in here, but you can still walk through them, and all that stuff.
Okay.
You're fine.
Azora will say, just okay. Let me go through these thickets here, just to make sure everything is clear. And yeah, she'll go here and do a perception check to see if she sees anything.
Sure thing. Make a perception check with sight as you begin to use the Oculi's power.
Yeah.
7. That is not gonna do it.
Oh, clear! Come out defenseless. There's nothing to.
I think we gotta stop trusting her.
I think she's starting to take a little bit of Zaman sort of boat.
Yeah, she get a little that Ruby madness, man. That Mark madness. That's what she's getting.
But Azora, as you begin to look about, you don't really see much besides a couple of crates that seem to be a little bit destroyed off to the side, kind of pretty much broken more. Over about, you see peering through. You hear the rushing of water, but that's about it. Said Kor and Zaman, you begin to gather forth and join the likes of Azora, as there is definitely more than nothing here. It is not just clear, but you don't hear any enemies at the least.
Copy. Zaman would say, we should search and gather materials as we go. What he
Gore
would
be like,
Actually, we're gonna use
oh, go check from above. And yeah, he get to flying and doing what he seems to be semi good at. He would stealth first, try to get low while he's just in case.
Alright.
Zaman is looking for seeds, berries, any type of foliage.
Sure thing. 1 second. Let me start moving NPCs and all that stuff. All right, Gore, make a stealth. You got your 7, and then Zaman, make a survival check. As you're just looking for leaves and what else again?
Azora wants to investigation check these boxes to see if anything she could find.
Sure thing.
Zaman-
Investigation
yeah.
check. But Zaman, what were you looking for again?
He's looking for seeds and pretty much anything he can turn into food. He's thinking about what Follow did with the plants, and he's trying to figure out if there's any seeds, berries, or anything edible that Follow can potentially like make grow.
Gotcha. Looking about, make a survival check. Gore, with your 7, you seem to be as stealthy as can be. You believe yourself to be hidden. Azor, with your investigation check of 12, though, you look around, peering through the likes of the boxes, lifting up the lids, trying to peer inside, but it seems to be most of this is, for the most part, destroyed. It seems useless right now. Find nothing. Zaman, with your survival check of 19, though, you do find, not much, but you find a couple of seeds, and not saplings, but seeds that you can probably use to grow maybe a little bit of plants and food. Not much, but about one that could probably grow or start the beginnings of a garden if you wanted to build one in the future.
Copy. He will pocket them and keep that in mind.
Easy enough.
Gore would start looking. Felt he's good at finding. He would check anything that look even box, old settled place, or even if that wood right here weird, like if it had been cut down recently or anything.
Make a survival check for me, Gore. And while you're doing that, what is Addy and Agni doing over here?
Oh, you can go ahead, Addy.
I was just exploring just this section because everybody else is in that other section. That's all.
I wanted to ask an NPC something, so if there's something you want to
Oh,
do.
go ahead.
Go for
Oh,
it.
no,
Which
no,
one
go
are
right
you
ahead.
trying to ask?
Well, first, how far away? Like, how long have we been traveling? Like, we know about how far away we are from the village.
Like just out of game. It's been about several hours, probably upwards to 6 or so. You've been able to travel a decent distance, a couple of miles for sure, but
But we'd probably suggest we're nowhere near close.
no. Matt or Philo would be able to tell you that as well as Hannibal.
Oh, okay. He would just ask Trog. Trog, you're familiar with these lands, correct?
Kind of. For the most part, going to from the north of the valley to here.
You probably have at least more knowledge than someone like myself. Would you know where to look for any type of ingredients or scavenging in these lands?
For what, specifically?
Nothing specific. Just these trees. I'm not familiar with them. Maybe you are. These bushes, maybe you know they hide healing herbs. I'm asking for your expertise in the lands.
I see.
And he'll begin to start thinking and pondering.
Most of the time, I don't necessarily look for, seeds or amongst the wildlife. Typically, individuals of, ranger sort of archetype would be able to do that. I more so, scavenge pre-existing structures and more. Being able to take, to store, travel fast. However, if I was to probably look...
And he'll begin to gauge around and try to understand.
Possibly over there? Worth a try. I can help.
Agni would nod and just follow him.
Easy enough. As we begin to do so... Oh, we can't move his character for some reason. All right, you can make a he'll make a survival check. Are you just helping him, or you want him to make it?
Yeah. Agni's not too proud to ask someone else for help, and he would let him roll with advantage.
Thank God you did, because that was a 1. 14 plus 6 will be a total of 20. You see as he begins to start digging around, looking for any bits of things, and you are able to find a couple of more seeds that'd be used for the likes of a garden. You'd probably be able to make a twofold if you really wanted to. Besides that, you don't really find anything too interesting in this area with the likes of greenery and wildlife. It is definitely a welcome sort of thing to be able to find it, for the most part, peaceful in this land. And you are able to at least, Agni, you especially, would be able to tell that the changing of seasons has occurred, as you don't really see much snow anymore. Regardless, much of anything kind of useful, unless you're looking for something like very specific, not really here.
Sounds good.
All right, but you do get a d6 inspiration die from Ambrose, who plays, oh gosh, Brain Zug from Tales of Siglasia.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty. So while that is sort of happening off to the side, Addy Dark, eventually you are able to see as there is a massive sort of river off to the side with almost a smaller sort of bridge connecting both. As you all see this area.
Here we go again.
How far is that drop? How far is that drop?
It's not far at all. It's about 5-10 feet. Over where you're standing, it's more of it's a bigger drop, but realistically, it's only like 5 feet. But over here is 10.
Down to the, I guess the proverbial south over here, I don't know why it's not working. I can't double click, but yeah, to the south, like this way.
Yeah.
Is as she peers down that way before moving north, is there anything like of note there? Like, does this road continue?
Nah, not really. It doesn't seem to really lead off to anything. It seems that though it leads into a path, Pilot would be able to tell you that we don't need to really go that direction in the first place. The path that kind of leads down, make a perception check, Azora. Or I guess survival if you really wanted to.
Yeah, we'll go with survival.
8. I mean, it goes the opposite way. You could probably assume that it would take you to the likes of kind of back where you came, or downwards towards the likes of this giant sort of massive tree in the center of the, well, pretty much everything. You have all looked towards it and you've witnessed it, not really paying too much attention to it because you're kind of used to it at this point. But that would be kind of descending down towards the beaches of the valley.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, D6 to the likes of Gore, because he looks like a small man's but big man's. Oh man,
I love it. I love it and appreciate it.
She'll call over to Zaman. Say, Zaman, can you check the integrity of this here bridge before Acme comes?
Exactly what the mom was planning on doing. He wants to see how sturdy this bridge is.
All right, that said, make an investigation check. And while you're doing that, Addy Dark, are you just looking out towards the river, or are you doing anything else?
She'll give you help, Zaman.
A mid-afternoon dip, you know. I'm just gonna walk, you know, swim across.
Easy enough. You can move your token and more, and continue forth with what you do. I'm assuming that because at this point you guys know how to sort of traverse through the water, so I don't need to really ask you. It's only one of you who's a little bit
we all know how to traverse this typical normal everyday water.
Yeah, everybody except
weird about
one.
this water at all. Nothing at all.
Oh, I don't know why this is here. I had this map for a long while, but I guess that was fucking there for some reason. But as this is sort of happening, eventually, Addy Dark, you're sort of swimming over to the other side. You have to climb up for a little bit, but easy enough with your strength, you're able to do so. And you see the likes of more and more of the forest up ahead. At this point, you look over behind and you can see your allies gathering forth and trying to investigate the likes of this bridge, checking its sort of sturdiness. Addy Dark, make a perception check from where you stand. And while you're doing that, Zaman, with your investigation check, 13 plus 1, so 14. The bridge itself, it seems to be, for the most part, sturdy. It has, though it doesn't have it on the maps, it seems to have these sort of, how you say, not podiums, what are they called? I can't think of the word, it escapes me. But embeddings into the ground that the ropes are wrapped around, it seems to be, for the most part, good to go.
Zaman would say, well, looks pretty steady. It should be able to hold Acne, no problem.
That being said,
Azora said to Acne, this bridge seems to be safest way across without you having to get wet. As for me, and she runs over to the cliff and does like hops off the rope and does a somersault into the water.
Make an acrobatics check, Zora.
As she hasn't bathed in a long time.
5. Oh no.
So today is clearly one of those days. So as she goes and runs the jump, her foot like just hits the rope and she just tumbles in.
No, your rolls have been doo-doo today.
As this happens, you see as Azora just trips and like you face plant directly into the water, and you know how water works. At least in Voden, you sit there and you face plant and you go absolutely nowhere. You're kind of just not necessarily floating on the water, but you're kind of just stuck there at the moment.
Huh. Looks like I learned something new today.
Yeah, she kind of tried to play it off. She's like, no, it's fine. Yeah.
Is Gore nearby?
Gore is towards the south at the moment. They are. Or what is Gore doing? Before we get back to Addy Dark.
Gore had done a investigation check over.
Investigating over here. Nah, you wouldn't find anything.
Oh, then Gore would have made his way back over. The next thing to actually check those.
Yeah, those was the mom was going to suggest to Gore. Was to
Yeah,
try to
those
investigate those
Gore's.
crates.
All
He
right.
was going to tell Zora to help him, but he's unsure now.
As you are getting ready to do that, Gore, make an investigation, or anybody else making an investigation, you can do that over here. As this is sort of occurring, well, we'll let this happen all at once. Make your investigation check, and then Adi, after they do that, I'll tell you what you find.
Investigation?
Yeah, you can make it with advantage if someone's helping you.
Yeah, I would have cast a guidance on Gore before he left.
Okay. So, Gore with a 20, add a d4. Total of 24. Ooh, good roll, good roll. But Addy Dark, as you're sort of looking past, you see the likes of, through this forest, a small sort of destroyed and ripped up tent off to the side with a couple of crates and more. As you're sort of looking about, you do see your allies getting ready to, or looking through the likes of this chest before you hear something like a bit of rustling for a brief moment in time. As this sort of occurs, Gore, you begin to dive into the likes of this crate, and you see as you open it up, you find a motherload of supplies and interesting things. You see inside, and there is bits of materials and more, medicine even, and a lot of soul coins as well on top of that. Mana crystals. It seems to be almost a cache of things. It's kind of surprising that it's sort of stored out here or left in the water. Possibly, maybe the crates fell off of the sort of bridge and then drifted out to here. You're unsure, but regardless, these materials are here for all of your consumption. Addy Dark, with your 22 on perception, you begin to hear more and more of the rustling, and you begin to see a figure slowly sort of appearing from the likes of the shadows as they begin to drop in bit of invisibility. You see as they have a bow and arrow, or a bow and arrow for the most part aimed towards the likes of these individuals down below at the river. You have a brief moment to react only because you got a natural 20 for a total of 22. But you see this individual off to the side. Oh wait, hold on. One moment, please. I gotta go change this thing. And I gotta change this thing. Okay. All right, you see this individual off to the side here. And they seem to have a bow and arrow aimed towards the likes of Gore down below. What are you doing?
Like, sorry, I cannot see what this person looks like. One moment. I'm gonna
gotcha.
zoom. I gotta zoom in there. Mean zoom.
Settings. Settings. It always does that.
I guess with this one moment to react, does that mean like I can guess I can do whatever I want?
You can do whatever you want, whether you want to call out to them, whether you want to use an action, a bonus action, or whatever. The choice is yours, but you have one round to do whatever you possibly wish to intervene.
Okay. I will dash towards him, and I'm going to attempt to I'm gonna dash towards him and attempt to just, man, he's like 4 question marks. Look at that. I don't even know who this guy is. Yeah, I mean, I'll rage. I ain't got shit to use. He's excited me. I'm gonna rage, and then I'm gonna attempt to grapple him, and of course he's getting grappled into this water. Of course he's gonna get tossed into this water. Of course he's gonna get tossed into this water. And matter of fact, at that, I'm gonna attempt to Suplex him and myself into this river together. That is what I will be doing to this fella.
He's gonna swoop in and whoop, yo, bro.
We will be doing this Suplex into this river, bro.
Please, bro. Yes, please. That's hilarious.
Into this river. Him and I together, bro. We'll do it together. I'm taking him with me, bro.
You'll see.
Let me get to the proper stance. The proper Donnie Yen suplex would be right there. That'd be
How-
the proper one.
How tall? How far up are they?
10 feet at least.
Not that bad.
All right, so Addy Dark, you rush over and you begin to rage. What stance do you enter, just so I can know?
For flavor text, that cool, summer bath makes me want to rage into the water form just because of context.
And what do you look like in your water form? What were creature?
This is. I'm so glad that you've asked.
Oh God.
I'm so glad that you asked. So as I take this water form, oh shit, no, actually. Oh, you know what? Damn, it would be better right now for Donnie and Suplex. Air would be where it's at, but it's all right. Stick with the storyline. I take the form of a frog, so it's a rare frog. Were frog in water form. This is the first. I believe this is the first were frog moment. I believe.
Yep.
The first time.
It is.
The first time you're seeing were frog. Well, I'm gonna need those legs to jump extra high. With that, I need to really get that height.
As you begin to do so, you see as you begin to grow these sort of bulbous looking eyes as they begin to bulge out pretty much from the likes of your eye sockets. You rush over towards the individuals. They're getting ready to shoot and unleash the arrow towards Gore, and you wrap around you try to wrap around their sort of around their torso. Make an athletics check. You have advantage. He has disadvantage to resist you.
I have a very serious question. Does he ribbit or crow?
Yes,
Can
you
he
do.
use his tongue? Can he use his tongue to wrap this man up?
I just want to know if the ribbit and or croak would it wear us?
It wouldn't give off your position. It wouldn't give it off.
I just want to make one point. I did not dash. I did not. I just want to make one minor flavor text. I did not dash towards him. I leapt towards him. All right.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Oh my God, that's a 20.
Come on, bro. Let's go.
Let's go. Boy,
that's a 3.
All
right, Addy Dark, describe how you suplex this guy into the water.
So, as I grip him so ever caressingly around his loins, both arms wrapping around him in what you would think was a bear form hug, but no. I use all the lengths to leap up into the air, high above, twisting, tossing him to the ground into the river below.
As you begin to do so, you drop them down into the river below. And are you staying? You're going into the water with them, right?
I'm going into the water with him, but in true WWE rules, his head goes into the log, and I don't get hit by the table. Obviously,
yeah,
it's
of course,
WWE rules.
Yeah, of course.
WWE rules.
Yes, of course.
Upside down.
If my name wasn't Sensei Suplex, I probably wouldn't allow that. But I gotta let this happen and see it through. Addy Dark, I need you to roll, and just because this is fucking hilarious, roll 4d6 for me.
You're going to paralyze this man.
This man was gonna be here to say, "Hey guys, we have food and shelter over here."
Really didn't even get a word out.
It didn't need it, bro.
Oh my God.
Took aim and got it.
No, not 44, 46.
Even worse.
Oof.
18 damage. Yeah, he's broken in half.
By God, he's broken in half, Jim.
JR, he done suplexed him through the table. As this happens, you all begin to look over, and as Azor begins to jump down face first into the water, you see his gorge just like, well, I don't know what they would do as they find like the likes of the sort of materials. I don't know if they're screaming or yelling or what is Gore doing?
Oh, Gore would have yelled, "Gores, hit the motherload!"
And as that happens, you all begin to see off to the side Addy Dark suplexing this individual, jumping several feet in the air, crashing this individual's neck onto the log as they begin to slowly drop down into the water. They are still alive, funny enough, but they are badly injured and wounded as their bodies sort of slumps.
After that?
Or as their body just sort of slumps over into the water. As that begins to happen, Addy Dark, you begin to look up. Or actually, Addy Dark, what are you doing this time as they drop down to the ground? They're not unconscious, but they are completely dazed.
Wait, you said they? There's multiple people? You
Dazed.
said they? Oh,
no,
I
it's
said
like they,
I was
as
like,
in this individual is dazed.
oh, I was about to. Well, I mean, there's only one thing to do. I leap up and I try to people's elbow him. Obviously.
All right.
Oh, what is going on?
And
Obviously.
as you get ready to people's elbow him, well, you willed it into existence. And I'm just gonna.
Oh boy.
And where are the other ones? Hold on.
Let's get down to business.
Other ones?
We are surrounded.
And one more, or you suplex the other one. The other one was over here. Hold on. Whoops. There we go. And this last one over here. As this begins to happen, you see as they begin to slowly or raise the lights of their bows, almost in unison, you hear as the trees begin to rustle for a moment in time. None of your passive perceptions were high enough to be able to see it. You see as they begin to slowly drop the likes of Pass Without a Trace and begin to aim their arrows towards each and every single one of you. And as that happens, you'll see as, oh my goodness. This one individual over here will look towards his friend and then fire an arrow off to the side towards Gore. Not to strike him, but, oh god, actually, you've already fucking attacked him, bro. You suplex the shit out of him, man.
Bro, come on. You already know. I never said it before, but Cowabunga, yo. You know what it is. Come on.
Cowabunga.
You already know what it is. Come on.
Gosh.
So much for potential allies.
You will see as, well, I don't know if these are allies, but...
You mean the token named Bandit's not our friend?
Nah, they're not. You'll see as they're gonna fucking unleash their readied actions. You'll see as he drops the hand, and yeah, they're gonna fire arrows at each and every single one of you. As you just all hear... Kill the trespassers! They trespass on the lands of the Zhao Dynasty, and they fall today. And with that...
Oh boy, yes, go! We got smoke!
And with that...
We already wrote it, smoke!
Cowabunga it is, but we'll have to pick it up next session, as we are at time, and we ain't got time to resolve this one. Oh my god.
Yeah, we do. One round tops. 1 round tops, I give them.
One round tops.
They already hit one of our hitters, bro. They gotta go down. There was no talking anyway.
Y'all, I don't think y'all can speed run around real quick.
Nah.
Probably can.
Why is Mal so far behind? Shouldn't he be closer to everybody else?
Oh, was this token not being moved? Oh, his token wasn't being moved. Yeah, he'd be next to Philo. But yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, no, y'all didn't get a surprise round, but they will get a surprise round on you for sure. They are going to do one attack roll. This is so I don't forget myself. So the good news is the way how surprise rounds work is it works both ways, where even though you guys only get to choose one person for a surprise, I also can only choose one person for a surprise. So they will do this attack with advantage, and that'll be a 22 to hit Gore for only 2 points of damage. It fires over straight forward to you, and one arrow embeds itself into the likes of, almost cutting the likes of your arm for a brief moment in time as the blood begins to flow into the water. But we'll pick up and figure out what all this means and who these individuals are and where they're coming from and why they want to kill you.
Right now,
exactly why.
We're not gonna figure out a damn thing of the
now the Zhao Dynasty and any homie that hangs out with them ops now.
All right, that's it. Thank you all for playing. We're gonna pick up the smoke in a minute or next week. All right, I'll see you guys in just a second. All right, thank you guys, everybody who decided to start watching this stuff. We actually got a decent amount done. or we actually didn't get that much done. A lot of role play, so I'm super excited. So I am very excited for this next encounter, this coming session. So make sure to tune in next week on Friday, or not Friday, at Monday on 8 p.m. Eastern time. We also run a giant persistent universe known as Project Aurora for those of you guys who are just joining us. I guess here, because we have a lot of people joining in after the raids, my name is SenseiSuplex. I'm a professional dungeon master that, again, runs Project Aurora, which is an MMO D&D experience where all these different campaigns, I run 4, and me as well as several other dungeon masters run our games in the same universe so they can affect each other in a multitude of ways. You guys as well can leave your mark on the sessions by giving out inspiration points, helping with world building through the likes of different streams, joining the Discord and joining faction wars, hanging out on Twitter and Instagram and deciding things of what happens in the world, and tons more. So hey, if you want to be a part of that Discord, if you want to be a part of the community, join the link down below. And while you're at it, if you want to get caught up on all the sort of sessions and before, check out the YouTube. But hey, if you're a dungeon master or a player of D&D, you may want to check out the YouTube channel as well, as we give out actionable tips on how to be the best player, how to be the best dungeon master, and really make your games be pretty much the best they possibly can. Make them as memorable as possible. We'd love to have you. We've got a super inclusive and awesome community for each and every one of you to be a part of. So take the leap, join on in. It'd be awesome. We're gonna see if there's anybody to raid today. I don't think there is, because the Nat 30s, they actually raided us instead. I'm gonna check real quick. Slash rolling together. Oh, for those of you guys who don't know, the next stream for, yeah, there's no one to raid over here. Is there any friendos to raid? Because I don't want this to go to waste or anything like that. Let's go look on Twitch. Let's go find a random person to raid. Unless anybody has a specific person they would like. Yeah, I don't have anybody. We're gonna look at the Dungeons and Dragons sort of the chat and all that stuff and see what we got here. Hey, look, it's me. Look, hey guys, it's me. Let's see what we got here. We're gonna try to make somebody's day. We're gonna try to raid someone with not that many viewers, but someone who's also just talking to chat. We're gonna try to make them smile for a bit. I don't want to overwhelm them too much, and throw too much of a raid to them, because I know that can be very daunting and overwhelming for people. If you guys see anybody you want me to raid, then be sure to yell it out in chat. Rhyme the Frost Maiden, what's the Fae, Humber World, anything? Roleplay, ask MJ anything about D&D. Sounds good enough to me. All right, let's go raid them. Chaos and Casters. All right, everybody, we're gonna go make somebody's day, and we're going to go or hang out with these individuals. Make sure to go drop a follow over on their channel. Make sure to tell them that they're awesome, and let's spread the D&D community love, because you guys are freaking fantastic individuals. So this is Chaos and Casters. All right, set, or we got about 30 or so people in here. I will see you guys later, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys. Start the raid and join forth, as we are going to immediately consume them with all the follows and love and support. Thank you guys for watching.
Us.